are you? Hello everybody, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Nice to see you in the chat there, Northwest Nerd, Nova Scotian Unicorn, Ronaldo Moreno, the Mighty Red, Harry Buckcheeks, Space Bananas, Lucy in the Sky with Diamond, Pappy, Versplit, and everybody else that's tuned in as well. Thanks so much for joining me. Excellent to see you. Absolutely excellent. I'm a little bit too saturated on the old screen there. Whew. And I'm a bit blurry. Let's see if I can clean up that. Whatever. Don't even need to be so big. Don't even need to be so big, do I? Right. I'm looking forward to the new cameras arriving and getting first getting camera bodies, then getting camera lenses and all that stuff. See, make it a bit better. So we're gonna be talking about AMC and GME in this show, and I suppose we'll take a look at cryptocurrencies as well at the discretion of everybody watching. We'll choose with collaboration from the audience whichever particular coin or stock that you want to look at. Good to see you, DXY. Great to see you, in fact, DXY. Good to see you, everybody in there. So, yeah, nice to see you, Jay, as well. Way, blurry as heck now. Blurry as heck now. Well, there you go. I'll just make myself even smaller. It really, you know, it's nice that I'm here and everything. But does it even matter that much? When I get the nice stuff, then maybe it matters. Look at that. Guys, it doesn't even matter that I'm a bit blurry. Hey, hello everybody, I'm still here though, and we have these charts beside us. Oh wow, that's the AMC chart, by the way. Let me just get it open here. That's the AMC chart on the 15-minute time frame with the VWAP open as well. We can see that the prices of this thing here are kicking around about the $57, $58 area currently, having been as high as 60 buckaroonies today. So the overall average price that people have obviously been buying and selling at, according to this VWAP indicator, is in around about the $59 area, and the lower band there on the VWAP is coming in at 58.38. We're kind of floating along down below it at the minute. Well, that's kind of like when you're floating along up above it. Let's see. We're really going to have to keep our eye out for the two numbers up above. What we're looking for is us to see the AMC prices here take out $58.50 and $59, and then we can start kicking in around about the $60 mark. But for now, it's trending just slightly down the way. We're seeing that the RSI's come down here to the neutral line, bounced off of it so far, and but you know, it's not like it's broken through it and it's gone super negative as yet. And we can see that as well looking over there at market structure, that we haven't taken out that 57 area, so that's real good. Right, great. And the DMI showing us that the positivity, of course, that kicked off the day here and pushed up the strength of trend to being maybe, you know, from being questionable to being something, is being challenged with this drop down. So again, you know, it's quite clear for us at the minute that really what you could do is you could just kind of think about the 57.50 area for managing your risk. It's a pretty good entry area, 57.77, but of course you're just taking a couple of fractions of a percent move here on this one. If anybody's were to be trading this intraday so far, you know, we really need to see actual proper movement up the way to see anything particularly different happening to what I've outlined so far. Looking over there at the GME prices, we're actually doing quite well today, you know, although it doesn't necessarily feel like it, which is understandable. We have seen the prices drop down a bit. Where was the start of the day here? This is all the 29th. Yep. So we did see the prices drop down a wee bit, kicking in around about the 208 level before pushing back up again. And we've got a slightly different picture in the sense that we're above the VWAP line there, 15-minute time frame on GME, and kicking about up there in the kind of really positive zones at around about 211. Want to see 211 be maintained, you know, but I can accept movements down towards the 210, 209 area, so long as we don't really take out our prior low lows, and that's coming in at around about the lower end of that band at the minute. So we can kick back and relax as we're waiting to see how things really pan out for this one, and enjoy the things, enjoy the flow of the charts, hoping that the bullishness post open can be maintained throughout the day, and hopefully push us up towards that $222 level on this one. But hey, you know, right now we're going to have to bear in mind that 210, 209 could easily be hit without really anything particularly changing with regards to the so far bullish movement that we've seen following on from the rather negative start to the day. In terms of just these few buck moves, you know, nothing really that special. And just for the crack, let's check in and see how Bitcoin's getting on at the minute, because it's always interesting to see, whoa, performing fairly well up there. It's $36,000. Well, it's been having an all right time. Obviously pushed way up and beyond. You know, this is kind of what we hope to start seeing kicking in on either of those other charts in terms of, like, you know, movements up there, pushing up above the average, and also then pushing up above the standard deviation, kind of giving you that signal that things are obviously fairly bullish overall. But I would be expecting a pullbacks, you know, having seen this so far. If we don't maintain 36,000, probably would be looking down to 35, but I'd be very, you know 35, I'd be looking down to 35 then soon if this doesn't able to maintain itself, you know, outside of that general sort of band, really. Looking at that one, if we do pop down towards the mid 35s, then of course that's your sort of standard reversion to the mean sort of risk move on that one. And since Northwest Nerd is here, let's take a quick look and see how Chainlink is performing right now in the markets. Also looking positive. What price is that? $20. Boom, 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 bada bing, bada bong. So we were talking about this last time. I don't know when we were talking about it. Northwest Nerd will know, or whatever else. And we were aiming up towards that $20 area. So the 15-minute time frame has clearly brought us up there. A little bit of the old divergence. Suppose maybe would be worthwhile pointing these things out on the other charts as well, just as we had you know, Bitcoin open a second ago. We can see that it's not actually that divergent with that high on the RSI. The DMI showing us that it could be a little bit though, so that's why we're looking out for market structure areas. And then Chainlink over here as well, it's not actually divergent. It's just, well, class B is, it says class, well, I don't know, it's class, it just seems to be like half a pixel high enough for it to be okay. So that's what we're looking at the minute. Pretty good, you know. Can we maintain $20? The region of $20, you know, drops down towards $19, as you can see here. Fine in general terms, you know, staying above the overall average there in this one and trying to push that $20 area. We do really want to see this overall bottoming area on the Chainlink chart really actually signal to us that we're going to be able to go in and get higher highs and higher lows. So far we've got just a high in terms of like having taken out that previous area, and that's pretty good to see. So anything so far, like in terms of the larger time frame, I'm looking at this and seeing multiple lows. Of course, there is a bit of a wedge formation up there, it is a little bit extended. So if we do see drops down to 20 from below 20, that's okay, but I'm looking for the overall maintenance of the 20 area in the broader term. What else do I have open on the charts at the minute? Oh, euro. We could look at the euro dollar. I was looking at this earlier on, thinking, I could buy into this. This looks like a decent move for us towards the top side. And yeah, it happened. You know, we had what did we have here? We had a tiny touch of the, we did have a bit of the old bullish divergence between these lows there on the MACD, and I was looking at it and thinking, what's the chat here with this? What else was I looking at? Yes, this prior area that we dropped down to there on the 22nd of June, and we dropped down there today again, and we rose up towards the top side, and oh my goodness, but now we're at the 200 simple moving average. That was what I was going to keep my eye out for if I was trading this one. I was just actually doing other things at the time, but I was looking at it going, do I take a trade in this one? Well, I'd be looking up towards that 200 simple moving average, and there we have it on the 5-minute time frame. What will that actually be able to be maintained? I would expect, if I was to have to put a gun to my head, that we'd get a rejection back down towards one of these areas here below for support. So at the minute, so that would be a sort of something to be thinking about. As you can tell, so far today, I've been keeping things nice and neat and simple on the short-term time frames. Wow, what's that all about, Rocky? That's right, it's a short-term time frame, day to day for me. I've explained everything, you know, I explained it all, you know, over the last wee while, pretty good. So at the minute, I'm just doing short-term stuff. What we'll do in this episode, though, this live stream, chaps and chapettes, is we will create a couple of clips for all the folks back home, like we like to say. So we'll make a couple of clips during it. You can help me construct them, tell me what sort of things you maybe want to see or whatever. Who knows what that'll work out like. And then I'll hit the record button, I'll fling it up on YouTube, and that'll be great. Okay, cool. And also, I think I'll probably try and keep it fairly shorter. And not keep it short necessarily. I'm not bothered about that. We'll just keep it, you know, nice and buzzing, good atmosphere and all the rest of it. And if that kind of tails off the cliff because we all get a bit tired or whatever, then I'll tune out before we have too much of a good thing. Right? But I don't know what that will actually necessarily work out as being. Cool, excellent. Really lovely to see you in there, Apple Blossom, Jeff Casey. We've got Alan Johnson Beamer. Can't remember what it was, but he said something that made me laugh earlier on, Alan. So that was funny. Can't remember what it was though. Grace Foundation in there deleting comments. Ha! What are you doing, Grace? Leave it out there. Broadcast yourself. Kevin, good to see you. What's up, Rocky? Just jumped over from Jamie's stream. That's really lovely. Cheers to see you. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Northwest Nerd flinging in the emojis there. We've got the Chainlink money bags. We got the Chainlink money bags. That's what that is for everybody who's needing a translator. Hello, Apple Blossom says Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Wow, the camaraderie. Jeff Bradford says, Rocky Crop, do you believe there is a correlation between the US dollar and the way meme stocks move? Well, you know what, Jeff? Interestingly enough, I guess you could be talking about like things like Dixie US dollar currency index. And you could be asking questions with regards to a time frame which would make sense to ask questions like that, because of course I don't imagine you're asking with a frame of reference of simply today's price action alone. We're seeing that it moved up quite a chunk, dropped down and up a chunk again in the broader term time frame. So that was June. Let's actually to do this kind of, I suppose I need to bring up a couple other stocks. GME there, right? So what time frame? Let's stick this on the 24-hour, and let's stick this on the 24-hour, and we'll pop the auto button on both of them once I drop the Bollinger Bands. Hide the drawings as well. Won't be needing those drawings on there. And let's see. So interesting. 24-hour time frame showing us this type of picture. 24-hour time frame showing us this type of picture. How far back does that go? That's to January. Where's January? So January. So what your question really boils down to, in a sense, is have we seen with the increase in the strength of the dollar somewhat, or perhaps the bottoming of the dollar, and also increase in some of these stocks which had also been valued really lowly, over the last while. In that sense, yes, because this is in some senses indicative of the attitudes towards the. Yes, because what we're looking at here is the depreciation of an asset, the dollar, and overall, then perhaps if haven't found some sort of strength in this year, and we were previously looking at stocks that had really heavily shorted, and there's like a kind of change there, which is similar enough in terms of some parts of the market. Well, we haven't seen massive growth within some of the other sectors in the market meanwhile, while this has been going on, and a little bit of weakness overall in the SPY and Dow. So I think there's that like sort of economic based argument, but to say that the charts are performing similarly, I think would be over exaggeration. There is this sort of similar performance of charts in the sense that we have seen highs coming in here with extreme volatility as well during that period last year where we had COVID and it dropping down. So there's like lots of that sort of similarity which you would kind of expect to see, but maybe in a sense rather than that you're kind of maybe looking at a particular forex pair, etc. And there has been this run up towards the top side since COVID last year, which has come up towards a high, found that we put in a high in around about the January 21, came in and put in a lower high in around about May, and then dropped down the way since. And if we compare that to Bitcoin instead, as a just you know, just for what did I do there, out of betterness of researchness, what we see is that over here since since March last year with that COVID, there was that run up, and there was this run up here, and it's kind of, you know, had a peak, which had a peak here in around about January. This is a little bit earlier in August, then a peak in January, peak here. We came up, put in a top in formation, and pulled down the way. Didn't really see the same sort of thing here, but we did see that there's this, you know, there's similarities that you can draw between these two charts. Easier than you could with, for example, GameStop, which looks a little bit different, albeit, you know, big changes in its price. AMC, for example, also looks quite a bit different. Changes in its price, of course, very much ran towards top side. So I would say that that argument doesn't really hold water across comparisons across different assets just currently. So that would be my kind of summary on that one. Let's jump over towards the GME charts and see if it's able to maintain the this sort of range that we're in. So we're at 209, okay, so we dropped down to the lower end of the range, not taking out those previous lows just in here, so that's okay. Obviously then it's like, so we saw that it wasn't able to maintain 211. It didn't spend any time at all really between 211 and 209, just popped right down the way. So that's what we're looking at there with that one. Let's have a look at AMC. And we are also, yep, right, okay, so 57.50 is where we're at right now. We did drop down to 57. Have we got enough sort of fuel in the tank to be able to, I don't know, fuel in the tank's not necessarily the right word, but to be able to maintain that 57.50 area and then push up from there, or is this indeed the pivot? So we'll take a look at this. This is short-term time frame stuff, you know, but it's all happening. It's all happening. So, do you believe there's a correlation? So I think we answered that one, Jeff. I hope that was at least something of an answer. Rocky gets me. Hey, there we go. Kevin, so true, says Calacala, sorry. Main 1 retracted their message. Oh no. Jay, Fed printer, go burr. It does. It loves a bit of burr. Loves a bit of the old burr. Loves it. Mark Maca Prime. Oh, hey. When the price of Dixie goes down, AMC others seem to go up. Okay, so negative correlation between a negative correlation between Dixie and AMC. Let's take a look at it here on this chart with the same setup between the two charts. If I can just, let me just get this one, hide the VWAP. Sorry, Ichimoku Cloud, and pop on the VWAP. Boo! And let's flip it over to DXY. Pop. Okay, and let's pop it on the same time frames. 15-minute time frame. Today doesn't hold water, sorry. Why is the VWAP not showing up for me? Did I just stick it twice on the one chart, or have I hidden it or something? What's going on here? Why is it not work? Come on, show up. NA. BS. Hey, what we call that. Oh no, it doesn't have one. Right, fine. It's not working on Dixie. That's fine. That's cool. Yeah, sound whatevs. Right. So yeah, man, doesn't really hold water in terms of that chart at the minute. In terms of looking back the way, yeah, you know, down here, sort of 29th of June, 6:45 a.m. So that was before markets opened. So markets opened, we saw the rise up in the prices here. That kind of correlates with the market open as well. So just before then, not so much. And then you have to scroll back a bit to get to yesterday's pricing. So there's in around about, let me see. There's yesterday's closing, and here's yesterday's closing. So we had, yep, we had the prices rose. The prices were at a low in this area just here on both charts. Okay, so if you note, if you can see my crosshair and the serrated lines on it, you can see I'm pointing at it just here at this particular moment in time, for example. That was a low. That was a low over here in Dixie. We moved up towards top side, came in for a high, around about the same sort of, just a little bit. Well, I suppose you could make your argument in the sense that Dixie moved 15 minutes later, and 15 minutes after Dixie moved up, the AMC prices dropped down. Then the Dixie prices did follow down the way, and then moved up a little. Let's moved up a little, back down a little, a lot, I suppose, whatever. So yeah, losing the range performance, like more or less the same. Obviously, some discrepancies in order to push the price to certain areas, but you're talking about correlation of direction. And yeah. So no, it doesn't stick. We've got a peak here on the charts, which is a peak on both of the charts. I'm leaning on the side of saying it's the opposite of what you just said, to be honest with you. But of course, it's a matter of perception, right? Tony, right? Tony, hello, Tony. Hello, look at me. I'm small in the corner. I'm in the corner. Nobody puts Rocky in the corner. Well, hey, I'm in it. Good to see everybody, says Epiphany Jones. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Merrick Sanders, got to go drop some fertilizer. BRB. All right, enjoy it. Have a good time. Go drop some fertilizer in the fertilizer bucket. Right, yeah, clappity clap. Okay, cool, nice one. Way, hello. So, right, yeah, so cool. We've got through quite a bit already in today's show in terms of like asking a couple of questions. That's pretty neat. Maybe I'll make some snippets out of them. Certainly, I suppose I'll probably be able to put a couple of chapters in so far. Not entirely sure if I remember what so far we've been talking about. Maybe just a 50-minute time frame price action isn't really going to be warranting a chapter on its own. Hey, who knows? But we can certainly hope for the best when I come back and check the chapters on this one later on, if I do so. No guarantees. Haha. Yes. Right. GameStop. GME. What's the price? 209.81. Okay, we're still in this doodah. What's going on here actually? Hold on a second. Hold on a mixed second, fartface. Hold on a second. Yeah, just go back to one screen. This is AMC with loads of drawings on it. Whoa, my goodness. That must be mental for people who are new to technical analysis. What's happened here, Rocky? Well, yesterday's live stream, we were discussing whether or not this could be a wedge, kind of trying to come up with a couple of different ways to line up that top line of that wedge. So, which is this green, which is, screw it, delete that, which is this green downward sloping line here. AMC price chart, by the way. I was going to bring up the GME one, but I didn't. How could we think about this region, though, instead? I'll check those messages. See, messages are coming in for me here. Wow, brilliant. Check them in a minute. How would we make all this line up? Well, if we had it lined up, kind of like we had it in the past, you could have had it like this at one stage. We came back and retested it. Now we're back retesting the zone, which was the retest of the wedge. Now we're retesting the support. So in terms of like this thing kind of kicking along, putting in different ideas along the way, you know, we've got the movement within the pattern at this stage. A breakout. Where did it go? Only as high as fake out territory. Then we receded back down to test the wedge. Whoops, we tested that wedge. Then we moved up again and lo and behold, put in a higher high, which was divergent at the time there. And then we sank back down again. And what we're doing at the minute is retesting the area which was where this pattern was formerly. Okay, so that would be the current setup if we were looking at it in terms of that being where that was drawn in at. And that looks better than most other ways of doing it. Now we did discuss this line in yesterday's episode as well, with regards to whether or not we were in some other sort of wedge still currently kind of kicking about within it or looking to break it, etc. And it is difficult to place this in without kind of discounting this previous area here, which is a kind of important component of the prices. If we look at this being a low, which was a lower low, you know, following on by a high and then a higher low, and then potentially then, of course, this overall region that we're at where we put in a lower high, in fact, on this 15-minute time frame. So it's kind of like those are the components that you use to kind of build up any case for saying that it's in a trend. We know that clearly. within this region, that there's a range that we can operate in as well. So this would be your pattern type technical analysis in terms of where we are now, and could that possibly be the case. Another way of doing the same sort of thing, if I just chuck all that in the bin. Whoa, I'm so quick to throw things in the bin these days. Mental, right? Whoa. If we were to have a parallel channel around this doodah over here, then you could make the same sort of case. Now, what does this actually say to us? Well, this says to us two things. One, it says to us where our high end of this range is, i.e. market structure in terms of a broader time frame. So this being the 15-minute time frame. I can demonstrate that fairly easily by, let me just straighten this guy out there. Right, so I can demonstrate that fairly easily by saying, oh, look at that, this is should maybe be a bit more like this sort of a thing, and this sort of a thing in terms of the ranges here, when we see that data kind of gets smooshed into where we have the range, so it depends. And market structure wise, we can see that on two fronts, body closures on bigger time frames, about $62, as we've been talking about. That's the narrative recently. 62, 63, 64, 65 is but $62 there, it would give you at least a component where you could say that we're higher than this previous body closure high. But until we're actually above that 64, 65 area, we've not taken out the other highs, as you can see more clearly in terms of this parallel channel from this point of view. So that's component number one of any given parallel channel. It shows you the market structure, even if that's a diagonal parallel channel, where you can see, in a sense, the diagonal market structure on the go. Brilliant. What else does this thing show us? Well, it shows us the 50% area at any given time between highs and lows. Now over here, I'm using this particular set of highs, this high and this low here, to draw in the parallel channel. So that's the same thing, tantamount exactly fair enough to say the same thing as using a Fibonacci retracement tool between that high and that low. As you can see, the 50% line then therefore lines up with that the 50% line of the median line of the parallel channel. Wow, okay, maybe we're getting somewhere here. So then at this stage, if I jump up towards the 4-hour time frame and you take a look at the way that the price action has been operating around about these Fibonacci levels, you can see that there's obviously lines drawn in here denoting areas where we found support and resistance, which is not necessarily quite so clearly demonstrated on the parallel channel, but is going to give us the same sort of idea as to the market structure and the bounds of where we are currently operating. Oh my goodness gracious me. Oh my goodness gracious me. So knowing that, and knowing that this is the 4-hour time frame, if we drop back down to the 15-minute time frame, and we can see that we're dropping below this area just here with this yellow line, and then we jump back up towards the 4-hour time frame, and we look at how this candle is currently operating, having been at the golden pocket here today so far, and then pushing back down and coming in at this area, it's therefore fair enough to say things like, well, we see closures below that 57, 77-ish area or whatever, and we could easily be heading on down to 56, or perhaps even down to the 236 line there at 54, or indeed perhaps to test the entire extent of this range at the minute at 51. But we know that this is not an ideal place to be so long as we're below that yellow line on this broader term time frame, and we've got an understanding of the broader structure of the market. Then we can go and look at the 15-minute time frame again. Okay. And what do we see here? Well, we already discussed the components with regards to how we had this markets, the lows over here earlier on when I was looking at the VWAP without any of this information on, when the charts looked rather much like this. And I said the component that we're looking at the minute is to not really break below that 57 area, in terms of closers and sticking around there, because then we could be heading off a little bit lower. And it makes components like moving up above the this price point here of the lower band of the VWAP at $58 currently, and then the middle line of the VWAP at 58.81, and then the higher line of the VWAP at 59.63, all that much less probable to happen with regards to the key components. So what do we want to see now? Pardon me. Is of course the prices being able to pull themselves back up above that area. That's your short-term technical analysis, with also a a clear regard for the larger term technical analysis without even getting into the broader term technical analysis that we've discussed so much recently with regards to this and other assets that people have been asking about when I've gone on to things like the weekly time frame, the daily time frame, and things like the 3-day time frame in between. Here we have the 3-day time frame on AMC, and it obviously takes a lot of that past data and smooshes it into single candles. Each single candle here on this showing us 3 days worth of price action. So at the minute we have a candle, and of course we have 4 hours, 5 minutes and 3 seconds left on this candle, on this chart right now here, and that will be the closure of the 3-day time frame. So what we had here was the last 3 days of last week. Today obviously being Tuesday means that it's the candle that we're in at the minute has Friday's price action in it, and then of course going back the way. But we can see as well that the way that this has operated so far has been quite positive in terms of pushing towards the top side. But we're also seeing a component below in the sense that the overall ability of the prices to push past their previous true range highs isn't there, as demonstrated with these wicks. And we also see in terms of the RSI that this is not able to continually push to higher areas as it stands right now here on the charts. And that's a nice and easy way to look at this over a period of a much longer time, but it gives you a good idea about how the difference between pushing past wicks and pushing past bodies in terms of upward price movement or downward price movement as a component of a trend is obviously seen, you know, and had the impact of it. And then as well, when we then look back at AMC, of course, on the 1 hour time frame, and we see that this is of course very much sideways price action, you have the full entire picture really of where we are. Now I haven't attributed number values to those pivot points on those higher time frames, etc., but you get a good idea of how you can do this thing that we've talked about a lot on the channel, which is called, you know, looking across the different time frames and understanding how it all can tie together. That's one way of doing it with regards to the exact right now price action going on live with everybody on AMC. So dropping back down to that 15-minute time frame again, zooming on in and bringing up the chart so you can see that the prices are currently above that line. We know what just happened. We know why it happened. We know what's going on right now with the prices, and every other question with regards to what is going on with the price action just now could only be further enhanced by adding more detail with other oscillators, etc. But we have at least a single clear, pristine vision of what is going on right now without any further need for extraneous data. That's pretty good to know, and it puts you in a position of very good power, of course, empowers you. So we know that if we were to push above 58 at the minute, that would be, of course, coinciding with defense of a key area for us, and we'd be able to look up towards higher areas. And bearing in mind that this, of course, is dropping down the way, that it would be harder, of course, to push past those previous wicks where we are right now without some sort of momentum along with it. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? That's what we do on the channel, by the way. If you are one of the 75 viewers who's new here, then be for sure to hit subscribe. Not 75 viewers that's new. There's only 75 people watching. Not entirely sure if it's actually streaming out perfectly for you or not. I hope it is. And you're getting all this, it's all actually arriving at your computers. But there you go. That's the sort of thing that we do on the channel. 80 viewers live right now. But what you've got there is a mixture of education, which really should help empower you, at least, you know, whether or not it kind of sticks or not, and then the current price action with AMC, and there isn't really anything, you know. I took the time, you could say that I took the time from being able to, you know, be pretty good at explaining these things, that it, that buys me to be able to actually as well slip in some education. How about that? I don't know. I think that's pretty damn good. Right. So anyway, over to GameStop again. So we looked at that one for a wee while, and pow, nice. Everything operating just as we said it was. It must be somewhat comforting, I suppose, to take a look at the markets with somebody like myself. That's pretty fun, isn't it? So we can see that the bounce here that happened was somewhat now, what would you say? I was close to saying that it was somewhat predictable there. Now, is that fair? Is that fair to say that? I would be the first person to tell you that anybody that uses words like predictable and stuff like that is generally a bullshit artist in any walk of life. So because you can't tell the future. However, we knew that the risks with this were at a key pivot area in the markets when we were talking about this, in terms of just, you know, this time frame right here, right now, etc. When the prices came down to that area. It's reinforced now with the fact that there, of course, now is a body closure at 209, kind of drawing in again our attention to that zone. If we're looking at kind of pushing past it, then closures below 208. 75 currently would of course be quite detrimental to the cause, but it's really, you know, closures below 208.30 or so that would actually really, you know, kind of change the landscape of what we're looking at here. Wow, excellent. So right now what we want to see obviously is for the prices to be able to capture these areas of strength that we had earlier on and push back up and hopefully then give us the ability to start thinking that maybe we could move towards 22. Thanks so much for that, by the way. That's the notification up above. Made them smaller and put them off screen, but thanks so much, off the charts. Thanks so much for that one, Christy. So what we want to see is the what do I say there? What was I saying there? Yeah, of course, right. So this is obviously a fairly negative looking experience in terms of the prices having dropped down from their previously having been up at 222, yada yada yada, and what you're looking for here is, of course, to have the end of the negative strength, you know, being shown above us here, the DM negative on the DMI. You want that to end, you know, and for the positive to be able to capture it again. Now, this actually gaining a little bit of its strength in this area as we have the potential to turn around, because the ADX, as you see, is moving up the way. It doesn't leave us in a bad position at all. It does give us that kind of that ability to have that kind of rocket boost. But the indicator that I have on the charts right now is telling us that we need to, you know, first off look towards 210.50 and then look towards 211.25 or something like that, 211.20, and then we can kind of revisit questions like where we are positioned with regards to momentum and trends, etc. on this current time frame. Cool. So let's just catch up with the chat for a wee bit. Ms. A, hi Ms. A. It's lovely to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hi Rocky, I've held AMC since early January, but never really been able to find good TA about it. Thank you. It's more TA, not just charting hype and asking for rockets in chat. Ah, that's fantastic. Oh, I haven't mentioned that. Why not? Go ahead. If you're here, fire some rockets into the chat. That's maybe the third time ever I've actually asked for that, but rockets for Rocky. Yeah, rockets for Rocky. Why not? I don't know how good this stream's quality is at the minute, but I'm sure it's... Oh, Kevin says it's great stream. Great, fantastic. That's good to know. Whoa, don't go messing around. If it ain't broke, don't break it even worse. Right, Nova Scotian Unicorn. We may be few, but... Yes, we may be few, but we are many. What? Minner, hello TA Rockstar. Hey, at Rocky Outcrop, could you please do a quick, in capital letters here, so I hear you, educational explanation of Bitcoin analysis, possible 12-hour golden pocket test and RSI bullish divergence, then speedrun Ethereum, Matic, Tezos and Cardano. Right, yeah, I could actually do that. Yeah, I could do that. Right. Keyboard Cowboy number 2 says, would that make GME and this current price of 210 area a very good buy? If I'm sure all buys under a few million is a good buy though. Yeah. That's true. Any good buy component obviously comes with a degree of unspoken kind of aspects to it. If I was talking about that, you know, in a sense, in terms of like a trader, etc., they'd be looking along things like this and giving you a really, you know, decent upside potential, not even necessarily on all of your move, on all of your position, without necessarily having to even break the trend, and you can trade within the, as the little fish swimming along beside the whale, and pick up a really decent risk to reward opportunity on that, with ability to also kind of, you know, pay off your own fees, etc. As well, you know, the trading fees, and as well take, you know, a proportion of your profit early doors in order to pay it, so that you can move up any stop loss into profit as well, and just have an absolutely zero risk trade. Blah blah blah. That would represent a decent buy, in the sense that, you know, the opportunity is there. But in terms of somebody who's going to buy it and hold it no matter what, right, and your risk to reward is something more like, you know, way like that, like, you know, risk to reward is just like, you know, it doesn't matter about that, and as well it doesn't matter about that. And this is kind of the mentality that you're having when you're asking, a lot of people do, you know, they're like, what's a good buy on this? Yeah. And it's funny. It's a funny question. Anyway, yes. So the short answer is yes. Okay, regardless of whether or not you're going to manage your risk, in a sense, because, you know, the next kind of stop off area for it could be down towards $200, and then that would be your next one. Is 208 a good buy? Well, yeah, it kind of is, but it's kind of talking about catching knives. 210 is a decent buy, in the sense that you're recapturing a degree of that strength, perhaps, and kind of confirming that we're not breaking down below 208. You know, anywhere in here at the minute is a knife catch buy. If you're a short-term aspect of it and a long-term aspect of it, you might be looking at missing out on what, a couple of % discount down towards the downside if it did drop down. I'm actually looking at it and saying, yeah, it's a good buy, man. Of course it is. You could get a 4% discount on it. Yeah, it is. If it goes back to 222 and is able to secure 222, then prices down here look like really refreshingly good buys. You know, because we've got the potential here to be talking about moving up past that zone. If you remember from before, when I had all of the different Fibonacci's, etc. on here on, it was on AMC, wasn't it? So instead, just bearing in mind that if we take out this zone and actually confirm and don't do what we did previously on the 24th of June and actually establish prices up above it, then of course, you know, then this looks in post like an extremely good buy. Absolutely. I would say, I already said the short answer. I mean, the short answer is yes, right? Moving on. So somebody asked, now I'll take a look, I'll read these comments, right? Then I'll flick back around and do what Minarem requested. And I do really appreciate everybody for tuning in. And thanks so much for that donation, by the way, Epiphany Jones. That was really nice of you. If you want me to take a look at something in particular, you know, then go ahead, ask. It's cool. Keyboard Cowboy 2. Would that make Jamie a good buy? Oh, we answered that one pretty well. Can't see your DMI, screen is cropped. Aye, oops. Screen is cropped. Oh, bull BS. Throughout that entire thing, there's me saying, oh, it's really good and everything. What a load of bollocks, man. That's frustrating. Ah, thanks for telling me. Sugar McDubers. I'd make it like that. And then I can make my doodah wider. Ah, that's so frustrating. And that's too wide. Let me just a wee bit less. So if I do this and then have it so it is, that's cool enough, and then I remember to zoom in a lot more, then I've got more real estate for me, and you guys can see the candles at least on the charts, right? So something like that looks decent enough. Okay, cool. FFS, well, thanks so much for letting me know. I needed to know that. You didn't cause the frustration, I caused it. Thanks so much for the rockets for Rocky, everybody in the chat. That's really cool. It's awesome. Mango, I am currently on trading 212 on an invest account. When the GME MOAS happens, is it possible that trading 212 or the people they are involved with go bust and I can't withdraw the profits? It depends, really. I don't have the research done into the background of all these different brokers. From a very sort of straight up perspective, it shouldn't. Because of course your broker should be operating in good faith and all that, so it shouldn't. For me to say that something like this couldn't happen would be naive of me to say that without having done the proper research and the very definition of the word. Okay, so I'll not answer that one. I couldn't answer that, but I'm sure there are people out there who could give you a good answer towards that one. Good question though, buddy. Right, so I've gone through the ones that have got my name in them. Sweet. Keyboard Cowboy, yep, that's why we love Rocky. Ah, somebody said something positive, and that's sweet stuff as well. That's brilliant. Great. Minarem, Rocky Outcrop, could you do this? Okay, could you please do a quick educational explanation of Bitcoin analysis, possible 12-hour golden pocket test, and RSI bullish divergence, then speedrun Ethereum, Matic, Tezos, and Cardano. I can, and moreover, oh, Daniel Lesage, thank you so much. Wow, brilliant, excellent. Thanks so much, man. It's appreciated. There's a $5 through from Daniel Lesage. Thanks, guys. So, can I do that? Yes, I can. Tell you what, I'll make it a clip for all the folks back home. That involves me hitting the record button, doing a kind of, you know, little intro skit. Okay, so stick with me, folk. I'll make it a short episode. It'll come in at less than 10 minutes, right? We'll bang it out. It'll be cool, and then I'll be able to publish that in the background and all that stuff and help people out. Okay, that's quite cool that somebody requested it in the chat as well. I'm not really, you know, this is interactive TA. Before I do it, what I'll do is I'll actually, you know, kind of just tell people who are here watching along what the current score is, you know, with regards to GME. Well, we did just spend a few minutes talking about that and the good buy price at $10, etc. And the areas to look to, of course, right here, you know, we're coming right up to one now. Breaking past up past into the 211s is very, very good. We need to see prices above 213 though, however, to actually get the sort of sense that we're getting follow through. So that'll be interesting to look out for. If we do hit 213 and pull back to 210 immediately, then cool, whatever. This so far is operating just kind of more or less as we expected. So we'll come back and check on the sort of tolerances that we've put for ourselves on that one soon. Yep, retest of this zone as well. Very important line in there at 57.77. I'm calling it that for the crack. It's actually more probably like 57.61 or 57 whatever, you know, but I'm calling it 57.77 because it sounds good, and that's happening right now as we speak. So we've obviously come right up towards that area yet again. You can see there's a distinction between how this operates in the Bollinger Bands, you know, quite a bit with regards to if the trend is going to be strong, you're looking at really kind of having a bit of tough time there, regressing up higher towards the mean than, of course, the standard deviation away from the mean. For people who are interested, by the way, settings, just out the box settings on this one that I'm using, 0 offset and a band multiplier of 1. Right, cool. So somebody asked if that is the case. Let's do it. Let's hit the when ambo happening outside. I'll probably want to start off in the 4-hour time frame. I'll bring up the chart as well. Bitcoin. Oh, you asked about the 12-hour time frame, so let's do that. Let's do it on Bitstamp as well for the crack McCrackles. So that's sweet there as well. I've already got that Fibonacci drawn in. Is it crap though? Yeah, it's wrong. So like with regards to this particular stop hunt that happened, and you were to ignore it, it looks great. We're just above the 236. With regards to the one where the stop hunt's included, it looks even better. We've broken the 236, and we've tried it a couple of times. We tested it and failed. Tried to make it and failed, and tried and pulled back. Oh, brilliant! So great, that's all good. Now, what was the question? 12-hour golden pocket. 12 hours. Sorry, golden pocket retrace. So this will be against that previous high. I'll do that in a second, and then RSI bullish divergence. Then speedrun Ethereum and Matic. Right, no problem. No problem at all. Let me make myself big and everything. This is mental. Totally crap quality video on me, but who gives a shit? Well, I tell you what, seemingly the entire audience on YouTube gives a shit, even though they say they don't. Well, we're fixing that. Right. Damn, so annoying having such a widescreen monitor. I have to look all the way over there to get to the next bit, so that's good. I'll just go for it here. Hello friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Bitcoin Technical Analysis, and we're going to do a quick speed run through Ethereum, Matic, and Tezos and Cardano in this little clip that I'm making. I'm really big and blurry at the minute, but don't worry about me. I'm shrinking myself on down. There's a good couple of questions that come in. This is filmed during a live show, so be sure to join me for one of them. What we're going to be talking about, and this is an opportunity to hit the like button during this intro clip, by the way, folks, so don't let me stop you. So what we're going to be talking about is a possible 12-hour golden pocket test, right? And the RSI bullish divergence that somebody's suggesting could be there. And then, of course, we'll crack on with the other cryptos that we'll be looking at. Right, so first off, we're going to take a look at whether or not this is a golden pocket. Presumably it means from this previous high over here. As you can see, as it happens, I have another Fibonacci drawn on here. This is from the market highs down to the most recent lows down there when we came down to 28,600 on the Bitstamp chart just here. Bitcoin 12-hour versus the USD, and we're above the 236, having tested it a couple of times and now finally broken above it. I want to see in terms of this right now, right here, right now, pivot of 35,000 or indeed 34,700 or so, really kind of being defended across closures, right? But anyway, in terms of this Fibonacci, that MRIN, shout out to you, buddy. Thanks for asking me to do this. Looking between that high down to that low, we can see that we're actually wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, right in that area. Very good point, my friend. So what would you expect to happen here if you can, you know, challenge yourself to use that word? Well, if we're actually able to see same prices, you know, throughout the day here, looking over towards 7 hours and 45 minutes till the end of the day, that would be really fantastic, and it would of course lock in the prices above our previous high here, which is really what we want to see. First off, with Bitcoin at 35,593, so we're talking 35,600 or so for the end of the day prices would be jolly good, having already come up here, and that would end up looking like a bit of a wick in that area. Then of course defending the 34,500 region, if we are called upon to do so, would be of course quite bullish, giving us that nice higher low, perhaps in terms of it'd be very much a higher low, of course, because we really could see the prices drop down to 33,000. Let's be very aware of that, and that would be your best buy price currently looking at the charts. But anyway, if we were to then see the prices come down here, defend that and push up the way, fan dabby dozy. But there was also a question mark about divergence. Okay, so the RSI has some bullish divergence on it. I'm looking down here and I'm seeing there's a low and then not quite a lower low at these 2 points, so that is not bullish divergence just between there. Looking back at this low to the next low up the way here, we can see that the RSI actually did come lower as well, so there's no bullish divergence between these 2 points. I'll just draw them in so it's clearer for you. Bish, bash, bosh, 1, 2, not quite. Now if you're looking at this and asking about it and saying, oh well, I use the wicks for divergence, you can see that the wicks also didn't close lower and the bodies closed higher. But if we were to translate over towards the 4 hour time frame, keeping that green line on there, we can actually see that between these 2 lows here, that there actually indeed was bullish divergence. So perhaps that is what the questionnaire was asking about. That shot us up towards the 618 golden pocket retrace. Woohoo, well done if you were looking at that TA yourself in order to trade this. Of course, that is where the profit taking would be coming in at, and we can see that there's a little red candle just there showing us the way so far with regards to that obviously being the case. Well done to you if you traded that. We are looking at this, of course, and saying that there's profit taking targets up above. I'm going to be just quickly, briefly here to say that 38 up to 42 is the liquidity zone up above that you need to be bashing up above. Right now we're doing okay, but we really need to keep a keen eye out for that. Along the way, 38k is probably your next profit taking target. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice. So at this point we were asked if we could take a speed run through Ethereum. I'll just use the T suffix on there and I'll do all of these on the Binance exchange. Thank you again as well for sticking with me. If you haven't lit like already on this particular clip, I would really appreciate it. As you can see, bulls at the minute, bullas are going to be looking at this chart and asking, do we have a wedge of some sort here, looking at these lows coming in and saying, well, you know, maybe we do in this region here, for instance. Let's just ignore that higher up zone for now and kind of talk about this and say, well, have we broken out of it? Or is that just kind of, you know, hopium? Instead, what we need to kind of be more paying attention to is really this downward sloping trend line in terms of our body closures, and we can let the top line take care of itself. Coming in here at previous market areas of support and resistance, popping in then some horizontal lines in order to actually do this technical analysis speed run style. Then we can see the clear areas of support really for us, or at least, not going to give me another one, right, somewhere in there. We've got these clear areas up above where we can see these horizontal supports and resistances. If I also just combine that there in terms of just kind of saying, well, how does that actually line up with this Fibonacci retracement? You can see we've got the 236 coming at this point, these areas showing us the oscillations that have operated all in it around about the 50%, the 382, and then obviously where the 236 currently resides, but that's as a result of this most lowest of pullbacks. So so what we can see as well is 618 golden pocket, that comes in at 3,000 bucks. That's a nice round number, and I would be looking up towards that round number, in fact, and saying that that would be a very big area to be breaking up above. That should probably be there, in fact, instead. Right now, where are we? Well, we're actually at this resistance zone first off, and we can see that the 236 is above our head as well. And the DMI is showing us that we do have a good sort of strength of trend to be buying into, but we need to get that actual follow through in order to get up there. I'm looking for prices in terms of Ethereum to really recapture the sort of, or test sort of at some point 2,400, but actually sustain prices above 2,200 here for us along it's a nice round number for one thing, but also it's where they're in and around about that 236, and of course those previous highs, that platform, the last diving board that we were on before the prices of course dropped down towards this bullishly divergent low that we have on the go. So this is obviously looking fairly decent at the minute. This is a profit taking zone, and if we also combine that with the question from the Bitcoin chart, you'll not be surprised to see, I'm saying that predictively, but yes, you'll not be surprised to see that of course at that area where that 236 is, from the broader down to the broader high down to the low that we've just had, lines up perfectly with that 618, giving you a nice inflection point in the markets. Will we see a story this is as simple as that continue with the charts when we look to other ones? We can see here in the 4-hour time frame breaking up into the bullish control zone, by the way. 24-hour time frame bounce off the bearish control zone, testing the neutral line. 12-hour time frame, same as 12-hour time frame as well, above that neutral area, taking out market structure areas in terms of the RSI, sorry, our previous highs, you know, and putting in a nice movement towards the top side. That's already anchored up above, so we've done pretty good on that front. Yeah, right, so the other guys that you asked me to take a look at were of course MATIC, which is coming up right here right now, USDT, so we'll take a look at it on the Binance charts as well. This something clearly I've looked at recently. I can see I've got a bunch of drawings on there, just identifying more or less, I guess, a couple of numbers. 174 was a target perhaps for the top side at some point here. We've had lows, these lows, body lows, any lower? No, they're not. Let's make this a little bit quicker for me, a little bit easier. Pop on the these two moving averages. 12-hour time frame shows us that we're being just at that. We're just at that 200 simple period moving average. Let me just check the settings on these moving averages here to make sure. So yeah, 200, and I'm going to pop this one to 50 instead of 10, and above us to 50 simple. Yeah, kind of showing us where we really need to break above. Prices above 130, closures above 130, really good. Coming up here where we are right now, pretty decent bit of the old divergence though. If no, it's not really. But if we close where we are right now and then continue to go down, there's hidden bearish divergence. Want to see the prices therefore take out that 130 price zone. Indeed, absolutely confirm above it and move towards the top side. Then we can go in for perhaps a retracement area. Let's look at where the 618 is. Is that coming in at 174? So yeah, anywhere between 165 and 177, I suppose, would be your take profit target on that. Should we manage to see moving up above that area, being aware that yes, of course, with 174 being broken, we're breaking past this previous high just here. That's going to be really, really crucial for us if we're actually going to try and attempt to start to look like we're trending towards the top side. Otherwise, failure to do so is very much bearish, and we're looking at coming back down towards these areas. 12-hour time frame showing us a similar sort of story with regards to being in around the neutral line and the bullish control zone. Not quite as good looking as the Ethereum chart there in terms of where it's achieved. The 1-hour time frame coming right up towards the top side, like we see, without divergence, looking pretty good. Getting a golden cross coming up on the, I can see actually, I know that this is extremely zoomed out on your charts, so I apologize for that, but we're getting it. We're coming up towards a golden cross here on the 1-hour time frame, right? I was just looking at the lines, didn't really care about the price action in terms of that point I was making there. So that's good to see. We would probably retest that though, so looking for better entries coming in at, yeah, perhaps down towards that 110, 115 area. If we can sustain prices above 118 at the minute, that's pretty good, but I'm not super confident and happy about this until of course we're above that 130 area, like I just said earlier on. Final one was oh no, there's two more. Tezos. Well, Tezos will be pretty easy because I've done that more recently. So looking here at Tezos, great, we've had that cross. Will we come back down and retest it on this 1-hour time frame? It's not the most important thing in the world. 4-hour time frame showing us that of course we've got closures up above that. That's taken out that area. Excellent, looking very good. 292, brilliant, coming back up towards the $3 zone. Sustaining prices of the 50 simple moving average there, very much important to us. And then of course the target up above 318 is coming in at that 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour time frame. I really am knowing from sort sort of previously talking about this, that it's not going to be good until we're above all the threes, 333, 33, 33 at the very least. But we're talking about that being an area where you could see us getting a bounce at. Well, if we did it soon enough, we'd be able to kick out that area, these previous highs at $3. Nice round number as well, so that would be good. But we're a little bit extended in terms of this price movement so far. At some point, we will get a retracement. It could go as high as the 318 area before pulling back to where it is now. We've just had a cross there on the DMI. It's not got strength of trend in on it quite yet. Yeah, looking to see, can we just, in terms of answering these questions for us, can we actually sustain prices above the moving average on the RSI? If not, do we get a bounce on the neutral line? If not, then of course we're looking down towards, coming down towards the probably 260, 270 or 280 on this one. 260, yeah, we'd come down to 260 on this one. If we're not able to do that, that might all happen at once. So that would be your best buy price overall. We're obviously, again, the same story applies with regards to how far we've come. Are we aiming then at being able to sustain price action above the 280s area? That's where we are, in fact. And can we sustain price action above the 280s area to get this real strong push up towards the top side? You know, it's not like screaming that it's going to happen, but it's definitely a possibility. I would prefer to be buying it at this stage at 260. However, we've seen the cross over here at that point there as well. That's closer to 270. In terms of the 15-minute time frame, by the way, and how we've come up so far, yeah, a little bit of the old bearish divergence at the top there. Can we sustain it above the 618? Yeah, so right now with this being in chop on the DMI as well, just here, yeah. So a pullback at this stage would be easy to manage. These are your levels, you know, 289 down to 284. If we push past 284, then we could easily be going down towards the 268 area. That's what I would kind of really expect, where you get a better buy price. Last significant low here as well. You'd probably push down and get a bit of sustained price action below that VWAP there on the daily time frame. However, we're above it at the minute. Everything's very good, and sustaining price action above these lines is kind of, you know, to be in inverted commas expected. In that case, you know, we would be able to defend the 618 golden zone, and the 280s is a decent entry on that one. Again aiming up towards 318, and then thereafter we're looking up. Actually, higher target on Teslas is 450, but I'll not bother explaining why right now. And then the last one is Cardano USDT, and that'll actually take care of the entire technical analysis for cryptocurrency section for today, unless we get a specific request coming in from somebody in a way that makes it so it makes sense for us to do so. 15-minute time frame on this one, with this high that just came in higher than that previous high. Is this going to actually end up being divergent on that 4-hour time frame as we look up towards these highs? No, it hasn't. It hasn't turned out like that. It's done enough. The 1-hour time frame equally done enough. Excellent. But the pullback that's happening at the minute is somewhat to be expected. Are we going for a 382 on this one? I wonder. I would expect, I suppose, you know, to challenge at some point in around about where the 236 is coming at. It's going to be a case of kind of moving it up as we go along, I suppose. But that currently comes in at around about sort of 136. Would we see that price happen, and can it be defended, or would it go on down the way? Again, you know, we've got the 50 simple having crossed over here without having ever been tested on the 1-hour time frame. But I'm not really looking so precisely at that 1-hour time frame for retest of that cross necessarily at any given particular moment in time. Right now, just pushing up here, just managing to do enough in terms of price action to have not kind of put in some hidden bearish divergence, I guess. It's not super strong. That previous move over there was obviously not great. So yeah, what do I think about this one? Well, I think that I'm going to have to look at it in terms of the 24-hour time frame real quick here, and disregard, of course, we came well, no, let's just see. That's the same movement. That's the same one. Yeah, great. Yeah, it's great. We've come up to a profit-taking area. The 382 is so often being hit at the minute. I expecting a pullback from this point is fair enough. It has been the norm. However, pushing on at this point up towards 157 would be the profit-taking area to be looking to at the minute. It gets a little bit greedy to ask for a golden pocket retrace without having had any inflection along the way at all. At this moment in time, if you're not in a position, I'm not a financial advisor on this financial advice, you could look as low as that sort of 120s area to get a retest of this 236. We've done it a couple of times so far. Smaller term timeframes could suggest that we only get in at the sort of 130 area, but then again it depends on what sort of momentum we get towards the top side. I'm sure as well you could probably as well just draw this in and say that there's a wedge here. So it depends how you want to play this. At the minute, I'm kind of feeling that there's that the risk is on at the minute quite severely. The edge at the minute is a little bit thin, you could take it, but your stop loss is likely to drive you down to where a better lower risk entry would be on it if you're looking at this in the terms of the short term time frames. However, However, you know, if we did push past the 240s area, you might be on for a momentum play up towards 58 and 178. Or 174. Great, cool, excellent. Thanks, by the way, for everybody for tuning in. That was around the markets look at the crypto world. We're seeing, again, just cross down the way there in the ADX. You know, there's the strength of trend is there for us to actually do something here and move up towards those higher targets. It is decent. It's better than it has been for a while. The last time it looked so good as this was really after this previous V-shaped recovery. You can see that equally as well, we had a platform drop down, didn't take out the 886 of a Fibonacci retracement between that point and the platform. I'll just demonstrate that real quick. You can see that we didn't actually take out the 886, just coming in there at exactly where those highs are as it happens. So at the minute, you know, we're looking at along the same lines and saying that if it does drop off from right here, then where you are dropping off from, bang, right on that 886. So in terms of the market structure and what we're seeing here, and have seen so many times, by the way, is that this is a profit-taking target for a few people for quite a few reasons, and also a decent enough pivot in the market to be worth a momentum play if we are actually able to break it and sustain price action towards the top side. That's obviously fairly complicated technical analysis, but really, you shouldn't really be fucking about too much with trading if you're not, Right, cool, great, excellent, ciao. Right, so I'm not actually going anywhere, by the way. That was for anybody who just tuned in. I'm sure nobody did. I just made that into a clip for the crypto peeps, so I'll be able to upload that to the YouTube, and that'll be that. Great, fantastic. So let's go ahead and do that then, I suppose, on my screen, and I can catch up with the chat there and see what you think of it if I missed anything out. It's always hard for me to remember exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it, because, well, whatever. It took me this long to find the rocket emoji. Yes. Rocket, Tony Wright. Yeah. Like. Thank you. Minarem, thank you, Rocky. Beautiful speedrun. Probably a personal best. Really? You think so? Really? Wow. Thanks, man. That's awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks. That's really appreciated. So, thank you for the TA you're sharing with us. Oh, you're welcome. That's cool. Excellent. Super positive. Everybody feeling great here. That's great. Fantastic. Ronaldo, I like Jeff R question too. Wait, there's a Jeff R question. Where's the Jeff R question? Looking up for Jeff R. Do you do a separate course in learning how to read technicals for beginners? No, it's something that I've been putting, I've worked at a wee bit, then I've delayed and put it off, and worked at a wee bit, delayed and put it off. I've got so many sort of attempts at it. Bit of a perfectionist. I think I put too much pressure on myself to make the perfect course. Instead, I should really just make the perfect sort of beginner course, which doesn't need to be the perfect course and overall. Just a good beginner's course would probably be perfect. So it's something that I'm going to be looking into. At the minute, I'm just trying to kind of find my audience here on YouTube for the live streams, build the community, kind of manage that to a lesser extent now, hopefully, but manage what we're doing here in terms of developing a culture and a community of people that help support and grow each other, etc., and then to launch that afterwards. But it's the sort of thing that I'll probably do whenever the channel gets past 10k subscribers, and I feel like I've got a little bit more kind of breathing space in terms of thinking about, you know, pressure that I put on myself for growing the channel, because this channel grows very, very, very slowly. Okay, even though it has been very, very good growth this year, it still grows fairly slowly, and that's fine. It's just that I'm going to concentrate on what I'm doing here as much as I can. I hope you understand. It's kind of, it takes a lot of energy to do these things. You did great, all except the fucking about at the end. Yeah, should I cut that out? Should I cut it out? Yeah. Should probably cut that out. I can cut that out dead quick, probably in the background. A horse is a course of a course, of course, a course of a course, of course, a horse. Of course, of course. Yes, I think they missed the original message, Ronaldo Moreno. Worth asking again. Who? I wonder. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. MRIN will break $15 today. All the hedges are buying in slow to keep it pumping and people out of AMC, says Trumper Trumps. Trumper does trump, probably. You're probably right with that one. Open recent. Let me just see. One of my other videos from the old thingy jobby there. I'll just cut that bit out where I swore at the end. You're right, I shouldn't have done it. Why would I do that? Why would I even do that to myself? This way I get to add the outro on the end of the clip. That's pretty nifty. And I don't need my starting creds, so I'll just delete all that junk out of my timeline just there. Pop the video up and it will be gravy. Really gravy. Bisto gravy. Save the best for last. Pop that in there. Bang. Don't really need to do any much editing or anything on this thing because I have such a sexy voice. No, because hopefully the live streams are good enough audio quality, etc., that I don't really need to mess around with anything. Although I suppose, right, where did I say it? It's quite towards the end. I don't know if I can show you me doing this. Do you even want to see it? I'm supposed to be looking at that stock that somebody just suggested. Obviously fairly complicated technical analysis, but really, you shouldn't really be fucking about too much. What am I saying? That's just rude. That's just rude. Towards the top side. That's obviously fairly complicated technical analysis, but really, you shouldn't be fucking about with it if you don't. I'll just crop that. You shouldn't really be fucking about too much with trading if you're. I'll cut that bit out, and it'll sound a bit weird to people at the end because it's going to have a little gap in it. But since 90% of people don't ever watch the last 30 seconds of a video, probably be all right with that one. Cool, sweet, export. That'll do. Oh, I'll just make my audio dialogue. Let's see. Let me just go. Just standard settings out the box. Right. Boom. That might make something slightly better. Might not. Who cares? Export media. Right. Cool. Is it going to do it though? Or is it going to crash? It's always a question worth asking. Or is my export media screen up on the other screen? You know what it is? It's that. That's so annoying. I'd have to plug in my second monitor to get it. Wow. Huh. Is there a way to like... Sugar. I'm sorry for being so distracted right now. Move. Nah, it's not coming up. Whatever. Miner says, yes, Ronaldo asked about how Jamie mentioned using multiple fibs. Why and what retraces sort of mean in terms of strength of moves. Then MRIN, ENMI, IDEX were requested. By the way, thanks very much, keeping me informed. Right, I'll do all of them. I'll do all of them. I'll do them. I'll do them. I'll do them. Just export the project. Gosh damn it. Ah. Export. Media. Damn it. Yes! Ha! Why did it work and never worked before? That makes no sense. Brilliant. Well, totally unexpected. Great. Crack on there. Export. Good job's a good one. I'll be back in 5 minutes for that one, and I'll upload it then at that point. Sweet. So, yeah, so we were asking about the fibs. Right, great. So, briefly it was multiple fibs. Why and what retraces sort of mean in terms of strength of moves. Then MRIN. Okay. I tried to kind of demonstrate that a wee bit in terms of talking here on this chart where I had the larger Fibonacci retracement. Was it this one that I was just talking about? I think I did something pretty nifty with Fibonacci's on this thing, didn't I? Or did I? I don't know. I'll delete that anyway. What was I doing? Something good. What was it anyway? And if Jeff asked a different question earlier on, maybe I should read the original, but I'm sure your summary is pretty good. Because it's probably up there. I'm currently trading. Oh, that was that one. Right. So it was about this, right? So you've got Fibonacci retracements. Let's go over to a chart then that people might be missing at the minute. Let's go and check in on our pals. How's this getting on? How's it getting on? 5-minute time frame here. Hit the auto button. We weren't able to sustain prices up above that. So it's the same little bit of support resistance that we've got here. Downward trend, previous couple of lows. Not exactly bullishly divergent there or anything right there, but yeah, pushing back up above it. It's it's right at the pivot point. I'm still expecting, so it's taking a little bit longer than we would have wanted, whatevs. And then this one, how are we here? Right, yeah, so back at well, just essentially the same place as where we left off. Right, yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Fibonacci retracements. We'll do it on what do we want to do it on? Chris, thank you so much. That's really appreciated. That'll pop up above my head here in a minute or two, or a second, or whenever it feels like, I guess. What should I do it on? Because Jimmy will have been talking about about GME earlier on, so I might as well talk about AMC, I guess, right? Probably. Okay. So here we have the AMC chart on, say, the 4-hour time frame, and we are going to want to talk about using multiple Fibonacci's, why and what retraces sort of mean in terms of strength of moves. Okay, so hide that those moving averages as well. Now the markets moved up here and then came back down, and we had this little low here, right here, right here, and then the markets kind of went up afterwards, right from that little bit. That was like the last place that somebody was hitting the, where it dropped down to before, the overall average people were hitting buy on it. That's a decent place to take a Fibonacci from. So often when you're looking at Fibonacci retracements, you'll find that it's got so much relevance to do with the last real sort of point at which somebody you can see would hit the button. And here we have that one, and we pop down towards the 236 here on this Fibonacci. So we've got an area just here which is identifiable as being a great big pivot in the market for us, etc. Now if I draw in a Fibonacci from the high that we got down to the subsequent low, right, what do we see? Well, the 236 here on this Fibonacci lines up perfectly with the 236 on the other Fibonacci. Wow, I didn't know that they were going to do that. That's just how that happened to work out. And again, it kind of reinforces the idea that you so often get to see that markets are operating in this almost scarily calculable way, and there we have that. So there's one example of two Fibonacci's, and they're both in the sense looking at the price action where it is currently, but one of them is looking at it against the retrace. So the first Fibonacci I drew in, right, the first Fibonacci I drew in was looking from this low up to this high. So the Fibonacci was as the retracement against that upward trend, So so you have your 1, and you've got your 236, you've got your 382, you've got your 50%, you've got your golden pocket. That's all as retracements against that trend, as in the idea being here that if you're looking at a trend and you're talking about a retracement against it, something like that could happen, and then the trend could continue on the way. This section here would be a retracement against, during this upward trend, against the upward trend, and it would be measured using that Fibonacci as I drew it in just there. This second Fibonacci is, of course, a retracement against this downward movement, and shows us then in terms of where we are with regards to the pullbacks against this, with the idea that we could pull back potentially, not take out key areas, and then of course go on down to lower regions, which of course could be something like this area here where that 618 is. This is essentially the a similar sort of series of concepts as to what Elliott wave is, but without having to being distracted looking at waves, as if that's the main thing. And then and I'm sorry to all the Elliott wavers out there that now feel grotesquely offended at me saying anything against that, right? Because it wasn't actually criticism. Anyway, we can see that so long as the prices are above this general zone at $44, for example, that we're looking for retracements up the way, and then hopefully to take out the 100 area. So if I pop this back on the way, you can see we've got towards the golden pocket against this downward movement. So we've got those two Fibonacci's working for us. You could then as well extend this out even further and say, well, what is the pullback that we could sustain on this one before, you know, what would be an invalid Fibonacci, because anything that hasn't taken out the 236 is invalid, and what would be a valid one? And we can see that right here, lining up with that golden pocket again, is the 236 off of this Fibonacci, where if we drop below that, we suddenly get a valid Fibonacci retracement tool that we can use, and we could look down to these other areas, and you can see the amounts of overlap that we're getting. So we know that this market is operating in this particular kind of a way. Incidentally, the 236 on that Fibonacci, which would create it as being valid, is in at around about 57.30. That's that 57 pivot point that we spent so much time talking about today. So furthering that, if we were to then take out our high and therefore continue with this upward trend, having had the most of a retracement that we're ever likely to get, what could that be? And well, it could be a 236 retracement, which is what we've seen there. So if that portion just here represents the retracement, and you can see you've lined that up perfectly with the 236. So if that represents the retracement against this upward trend, and we were to continue to go on towards the top side, then where could we be aiming to? For example, well, there's targets that you could come in with. For example, the 1272 and the 1618. These are typical common retracement areas that if you watch the channel long enough, you'll see me popping in and showing you the 1618 all the time and stuff like that. And of course the 1272. This is a really fantastic area to aim for if you're aiming for a speculative target beyond the price action that you currently have. And of course as well, this is handy and functions during all-time highs in markets. Obviously also functions whilst you're still within the overall lifetime range of the stock or commodity or forex or cryptocurrency life price. So in this example, if we take out the area, and the area being, you know, that $72 zone where we had our peak at, and indeed the first step towards doing it is confirming above 62 where we've had these other peaks, and of course then pushing up the way. The reason I don't spend much time talking about this 67 area is because really it's 72 that we need to push beyond, and that we can see with the size of these wicks that you're often getting wicks on this chart which are, you know, extend a further 10% up from where the prices, you know, ultimately closed their bodies off at. So when you're looking at 63 and saying that's 64 is where we got to get to, people would get excited if I said moving up above 68 is a key area, but it is. But I'm deliberately not mentioning it because there's a likelihood of a 10% range, okay? Then if we were to then push up, we'd be looking towards the 1272 and the 1618, and that would be our two targets towards the top side. And that, of course, then looks, in terms of the Fibonacci that we're looking at, is this one, which is the retracement against this downward trend. And what does the 1618 line up with? Well, it lines up with it is 68% of the move against this trend here. So if you use trend-based fib extensions, then because of this initial move up the way here, it's not going to look it's not necessarily going to look fair when I draw this in here or whatever. Is much higher. There's the Fibonacci extension here. It goes all the way up towards the $143, and that would be the components that somebody who's all in an Elliott wave would be talking about, how you should be using that there in this period to measure between that zone, blah blah blah. But who really cares? Nobody. And that's just where that is, you know. Equally, if you were, you know, so inclined, you could look between that low and the high, obviously this is on this time frame, it doesn't look like it makes much sense, but on a smaller time frame, that would be this opening day's price action up towards the peak, down towards the low 15 minutes, etc. And you can see how these things line up, and obviously then that stage they're much closer to the other Fibonacci extension points, and there's good reason for using those ones overall. Okay, cool, nice one. Incidentally, right now those two Fibonacci retracement points line up with any sort of ascending triangle pattern that you would draw in this region and say where your target's coming at. Well, they would come in those ones. In terms of strength of trend, well, I mean, you know, there's so many different ways of talking about that, so I'll not go on about it for any length of time. It's just that you have, you know, because of course Jamie we've been talking about earlier on, and I don't want to sort of cross purposes say anything that would be confusing. But essentially, you know, when you're looking at a trend, if it's pulling back down the way towards the 382 or the 236 and not breaking then past down the 382, etc., then it's just kind of healthy retracements as a part of a strong upward trend. You know, a healthy downward retracement is part of a strong upward trend overall, stuff like that. So, you know, but I'll not go into too much more detail than that. Cool, nice one. That's another clip. Could have recorded that whole thing, but it'll just have to do as a chapter or whatever. That's pretty good. Ronaldo Moreno, thank you. Feck man, such good stuff at Rocky Aircrop. Really? Cool, nice one. Pretty interesting, I think. So these are the sorts of reasons why I find technical analysis to be so fascinating, and of course why it is worth looking beyond just the very surface area, because you don't really need to be good at maths or anything like that, mathematics, to be able to figure that stuff out. Yeah, okay, I will. I'll chapter that later on. Thank you, Ronaldo Moreno, for that question. Awesome, Rocky Outcrop. Cheers. Right, brilliant. There we go. Community working together, right? The value that is in this show right here, right now, with just 67 concurrent viewers, you know, is extreme. I think it's very great, massive amounts of value for people in the show here, which is cool, right? It's because we generate that together. Okay, so that's brilliant. Yeah, fantastic, and what an atmosphere as well. But love the TA explanations, Rocky. Thanks. Oh, no problem. Yes, that should be a clip for sure. Cool. Minarem giving me a timestamp. 1 minute, 1 hour and 20 minutes in. It so often seems to be that when you start to do something, when I go and do the chapters, that it's kind of freaky time stamps like that come in. I'm like, when did this section start? It was 1 hour, 11 minutes and 11 seconds in, and it actually was. So it's 1, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm like, that was freaky. When did I end that section? And I go on and I'm like, oh God, the next chapter is 1 hour, 22 minutes and 22 seconds in. What? How is that possible? You know, stuff like that happens all the time. It's really messed up. Anyway, cool. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds says, what time will you be on tomorrow? I don't know. What time do you guys think I should be on tomorrow? Let me know, in fact. You tell me just now. What do you think I should be on at tomorrow? And we'll discuss it here. That would be my favorite, says Apple Blossom. Excellent TA, thank you, says L. Baker Matthews. And the Mighty Red says synchronicity. So cool, synchronicity, Rocky. Yes, synchronicity. Is that what that is? That's just what it is. It's just what it is. The world knows this is the place to be. So that's it. That's it. Right. Great. Excellent. So I suppose we should probably check in on our pals. How are we getting on here? 5762. That's the actual number. We're calling it 5777. Oh, I've destroyed everything, have I? Oh, that's cool. It doesn't matter. I suppose I don't need it. Don't need anything on there. Right. Oh, that's a broad term time frame. So you can see how useless the VWAP is on the 4 hour time frame, even because 4 hours represents half a day's trading. Over here on the 1 hour time frame, of course, you're only going to get 8 of these during a day. So this will reset every dunk chunk like that. Reset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom, dunk, reset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ding, reset, and the VWAP then changes from one zone to the next. Okay, so it's like sausages, like link sausages, like those round link sausages. You got a zone where the VWAP is, and while it's connected up to the next one, it's just through a little twisted up bit of intestine, and then of course your next load of sausage is the next day, and then it's kind of twisted up a little bit of intestine, and then your next sausage like that. So it's like link sausages, okay? And that's one of the components about the VWAP, which is so laughably misunderstood by people. Anyway, so we're still hoping to see the prices come back into the ability for for the day's range. Now, when you see a candle in the 4-hour candle where it's kind of a bit crap for the day and the next candle is a bit good, what you're going to notice on a lower term time frame, such as this 1 hour time frame here, is that of course it's going to climb back up to within the range as identified by the VWAP for the day without breaking back up above the deviation point up above, as seen here. So if we were to actually come back up the way and then close higher than our previous candle, we'd have a chance of pushing on beyond that zone, and that would be ideal for the end of the day, giving you a 59.44 price point, finishing point for the end of the day as being okay. Incidentally though, if you look up towards the higher time frames and then you kind of check in with where your previous day's close was, where was that be? Well, that would be higher than sorry, that was obviously higher than previous day's close at 58. Right now we are below yesterday's close, but still okay. The pivot point in the market, 58.40, yeah, so 59 would be fine. It would be really good, in fact, pushing us up higher. Yeah, so that'd be a really good end to the day overall. I'd be happy enough with that. We can try and get towards 62, 64 by the end of the week. Now, what I don't want to see happen is for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to be somewhat positive leading up towards getting up towards those highs, and then in the afternoon session on Wednesday it tailing off a little bit because naturally you just had a high, and then Thursday and Friday kind of following through with negativity towards the end of the week, as is so often the case with trading. So I don't want to see that happen. And what does that really constitute for me? Well, it means that if we actually see the prices going up there and closing out Wednesday above 65, 64, or that maybe that little kind of sneaky price of 68, but I'm talking about actually managing to close up there, then we're set up for a last good couple of days in the week. If we're going to kick around below 62 up until the end of close on Wednesday, then that's fine because it leaves us a bit of a move up towards the end of the week as well. So that little kind of pivot for us as well in terms of our psychology for the week on AMC is coming in there at that 64 price point, and we don't want to see that happen at 11 a.m. New York time Wednesday for then the Thursday and Friday to just be kind of balls for everybody after having spent a week kind of building up to this point. That would be my patience is needed week. We've come down here towards the neutral line, and if we did push down the way and came back down and tested the neutral line again but didn't even equal our lower previous low, that would be like this like a bullish divergence. However, we have come up higher. It's just that this candles today is red. Sometimes it's worth kind of just ignoring what color your candles are though, as Jimmy talks about, specifically with regards to the volume. But anyway, what am I doing though? This is too complicated. I'm getting esoteric and digressing again. Why am I even bothering with that? That's crazy. That's crazy. Brilliant. So what have we got here with the chat? Excellent TA, thank you. Wait. It's just like class in school, all thinking, but nobody asks. Hey, pre-market, heart. Right, that's what people want me to start at pre-market. So that's one answer on that one. I like 5 minutes before open, so that's kind of pre-market as well. Whenever you get around to it, it says sauced food cart. Well, thanks very much, my friend and mon ami. Merci, mon ami. Right, Jeroen says, you're the best, Rock. Thanks so much. Haha, synchronicity is a psychological concept, says Sensory Hoax. TJ, do you have a tutorial for DMI? I can't find any on your channel. I do. It's maybe currently listed as unlisted. However, you'll find it in my education playlist. I meant to put it back as being members only. It's currently available for anybody to watch. 90% sure on that one. You can also join the Patreon and download it for free. Once you've paid for the Patreon, it's included. I don't know, whatever you want to talk about that. I don't know, whatever. But I don't know. I was also talking to somebody about this earlier on and thinking maybe I should make a new one. I might make a new one. That's better. It's just me trying to help people, you know. They're not commercial things that I've made in order to extract money from people. It's literally quite the opposite. But I put them as members only anyway, you know. But the DMI one is currently not members only, so check it out on the channels. In the education playlist, you will probably find it. You are a psychological concept. So yeah, maybe people want me to start pre-market. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do pre-market. It's good. It means I can fit the crypto stuff in without stepping on anybody's toes, because of course the market's not open, so there'll be no anxiety on that front. So yeah, okay, tomorrow I'll try and start pre-market. So how about tomorrow I aim for starting at well, let's call it an hour before market opens. An hour before market opens. Maybe then I'll stay on until say an hour after market opens and just kind of do that. Do like a 2-hour live stream, 1 hour before, 1 hour after, requests and everything in between, and see how it goes. The cool thing about doing that is that I'll go and see my mum later on, who's coming back into town. She'll be around tomorrow, so I'll maybe go and see her for a bit or something like that. It's always good to spend time with your loved ones, right? So that'll be the current. I'm penciling that in. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds for tomorrow, an hour before markets open until an hour after markets have opened. Right, roughly. Right. Oh, sugar. Right. Yeah, there was people asking for stuff. Sorry, I forgot about that. What was it? MRIN had it all listed out for me earlier on. It said MRIN, ENMI, IDEX. Ah, oh, thanks. I forgot about that. MRIN, MRIN software. The Marinator. Okay, so when you're looking at a time frame like this, for instance, like I said, 4-hour time frame, VWAP essentially useless. Essentially useless? No, is useless. There's nothing essentially about it. What do we have here instead? That's essentially useless as well. Wait a minute, this is the logarithmic chart and all. The chart that's done what? Oh, right, okay. Need to look at this a bit broader as well. This is not massively traded, this thing. MATICUSD Software Incorporated. Got to wonder if there's any, legit reason for this. Starting volume seems pretty good. Have they got? They obviously when did the IPO, or when did they at least get up here? Back in 2013. Who are they? Right. Instacart. So going back to the chart, key components of the so-called meme stock is that you've got a heavily is to try and get in a liquid stock. This is the meme stocks which go beyond like the GameStop and AMCs. There are all the additional ones that people talk about. However, as well, them to an extent as well. Something which is not traded super with a massive amount of volume on it. It's got clear bullish divergence after a really long downward trend. Then simple components fit together fairly neatly as well, such as coming up, testing the 236, pulling back down, pushing up. Where did it hit? The 382, pulled back down, pushing up. Currently kind of aiming towards $22. Its sort of pivot point is $10 because that would be the 50% kind of failure area. So is this on the way to $22? Yeah. Would people be taking profit on it? I'm not a financial advisor, down as financial advice, but yes, they will. From below $20, they'll be taking profit from $19 and something, and then the prices will struggle to beat $23.50. That's the outlook on that one. Now, why was this? Like, it makes me wonder when sometimes, in terms of, has somebody just come along here, seen this bullish divergence, talked about it a wee while, and then at what point did this get kind of excited about it? I wonder who introduced the idea for it. Again, it could be that it's one of these extremely heavily shorted companies because maybe people thought it would go bust, as these hedge funds, and tried to short it when it was back down very, very cheap. But it's kind of like, take a company that was $100, push the prices down all the way to the ground. It almost went bust. The fact that it didn't means maybe, it's not gonna. And then it's pushed up since with these extreme price movements. The extreme price movements, are they also almost somewhat predictably measurable? 1618 just up there, so it pushed a little bit beyond the 1618 as it happens that time. Or was that right? Yeah. Then this one here, the 1618 is where it's at the minute as it happens. So And has it pulled back already from there? Yeah, it has. So it came in and hit the 1618. Well, there you have it, right? That's the area, like at the minute, at that 1618, right where the prices got up as high as, where they were kind of going to go. Okay, that's where they were going to go. And then and now it's a question of have we there's nothing very organic about this, right? It's just as it is. It's just simple. All right, the gap's right at that 236, as we've seen so often. Yeah, for me personally, I wouldn't be buying this one unless I was getting it at around about $8. If I got it at around about $8 and the prices went down to around about $7, then I'd probably want to ditch it. If they turn around at that point and went up past 13.97, then I'm aiming for 20 from anywhere between 19.90 to $24 or 23.50 for the next stop up. Really nice move. The potential to get somewhere in the region of 100% if you wait for it to come down and then find momentum towards the top side, etc. And it's able to break that point there. Trading it from right here, right now, puts you in a bit of a quandary. You could be looking down at the prices dropping over 10% just to find any sort of semblance of support from previously as well, if we did go on and test that. But so far we've been doing fairly good, breaking past that $7 area. You know, you're at least looking down at $5, but it could easily go down to $3. You're talking about something that started off at less than $1 to have got up to where it is now. So the pullbacks on this could be extensive. In fact, where are all these gaps showing up with regards to that Fibonacci, etc.? So the 50% line right at that one, the 236 right at that one, the golden pocket right at the bottom of where the closures were of that one, dropping down, you're going for the 886. Yeah, you would be. So we'll be going down to 177 after that. So yeah, I mean, this is this one. What's the deal with it? Extremely low amounts of volume being traded on this thing, and then volume on this one. This is pump. This was pump, and let's be honest about it. This was pump, and this was dump. This was pump, and this was dump, and this was pump. And we are looking to see if we can continue and hopefully get in on the next pump and dump. What would actually be, you know, where would the 1618, where would we need to see the prices drop down to have the 1618 come in at the golden pocket? Well, if the prices were to go up towards the top end of the golden pocket, they'd have to drop all the way down to that line there at $6. If the prices drop down to around about $8, yep, they would drop down to $8, then your next target coming in at just shy of 20 would be that 1618. You know, that's, I don't want to crystal ball anything and predict the future, but in terms of where's your edge on this market, well, it gone, right? So then to put the VWAP back on again here and drop down to where it's actually has a purpose. Is it going to show up? It is showing up, is it? I don't know. No, it is showing up. I was being blind. Right. And what do we have here? Again, outside it, nice one, you know, tracing up outside it, coming back down. Where does it line up at? 10.95. That's, if you're going to be trading this, you know, right now, your best hopeful buy price, but there, you know, that's to maintain the trend above the average. If it drops down below it, then it's probably not worth trading, because if we don't find support at 933, woof, all the way down perhaps, or indeed looking for support at one of those other areas identified earlier, like $8, etc. And you're talking about fairly significant percentage moves in the meantime. As it looks, with us coming in for the lunchtime on this one, is it going to spend the second half of the day kind of, you know, fading off, getting faded? Well, it could. Look, if you're buying this as an opportunity at that area, I'm not a financial advisor, this financial advice, an opportunity at that area where you could be looking for a decent risk to reward, okay, on your trade. Now, if you're taking your trades based off of purely off of risk to reward all the time, and you're looking for a decent one, then perhaps, you know, this sort of thing is okay, but honestly, it's not honest, whatever, you know, you do you. We're rolling over a little bit at the minute, taking out that line at 1088 it looks like it's rolling over. ADX above 50. Yeah. This looks like it's rolling over with good cause, but it's healthy enough to continue and sustain it higher it's healthy enough to continue and sustain the trend higher as it stands right now. It is. Next was ENMI. Whoa, well, there you go. There you have it. What a load of shit this thing is. So what is this crap? Another really low market cap company that's being pumped and dumped. Okay, so try not to get advantage taken of you too much, because of course pumps and dumps are great fun to be a part of. Just need to not get taken advantage of. So this time frame, it makes it really hard to see what's going on. The VWAP doesn't help. I'm going to hide the VWAP. It's obviously useless in a market like this anyway. 4-hour time frame to try and amortize some of those candles into at least something that's legible. This highs and lows here, right? This is such a piece of shit. This thing here is, but there you have it. That's where its lows were, as crazy as it was. 236 functioning. So yep, just in a liquid market that's being pushed to the standard areas yet again. This one here not having taken out the 236. Yeah, going to aim up towards 44 cents on this thing. I'm going to aim up towards 44 cents on this thing, bearing in mind that it could easily drop back down to like 8 cents immediately following that. Who knows? Like, the next target, 44 cents. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense indeed. We're obviously at a 618 golden pocket retrace on this one as well, so you're seeing the markets. And this maybe helps answer the question, because I get asked it all the time. Why are these markets moving together? Maybe when you look at me doing the TA and you see how these things are happening all the time across markets, then you'll think, oh no, it's not that, that's just how it is, and that's how these things go, and whatever, and that obviously there's broader term movements, etc. But you're looking at things having come to certain areas at certain times of the day, all at the same sort of time. Then what do you expect? You know, seriously. Look out for this one. It's obviously the type of thing where people are taking money from people. 55% drop immediately following on from hitting the 618 golden pocket area. That there is absolutely killer to anybody that's trading on any form of leverage. Kiss goodbye to options if you're trading them as well, in terms of the no, it's fine. You probably not got a clue. I mean, who knows about options in terms of where they're closing, but just be careful. If you holding them can be extreme at times. Then what we got here, this positive cross hit the 40, but we got the cross. Yeah, so overall, Harold, this is the market so bullshit. 59. I'm moving on from this one. Sorry, that one's. I don't recommend people trade markets that are like that. If you want to, then you know the risk that you're taking anyway, and you're probably going to ignore any sort of technical analysis I do on it. Let's be frank about it. So I'm moving on from that one. Sorry, it's a waste of everybody's time. If you genuinely want me to tell you levels, for you to go into, and you're also at the same time holding through 55% pullbacks during the day in order to just take some scalping profits to trade and get more GME, then just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. I'm not gonna tell you what works and what doesn't if that's working for you right now. 236 here, the 236 here coming in at 276, and on ENMI. A slightly more liquid stock than the previous one. Diminishing volume throughout this piece here. We didn't get increasing volume through any of that there, although the average clearly did increase. Why am I not showing my average? Where's my average? There, I want that. So average up, down, but the average is not taking out the average either, as it happens, right? So inherently weak in terms of divergence, etc. Yeah, this one looks like it clearly needs to defend 279. If it doesn't, it's dropping down, and we're talking percentage wise big moves. These lows down here, 16% down, for example. But if you were actually to go towards something like the 382, you're talking about a 36% pullback. Could happen. It would still result in a higher low. Pardon me, just be retest of that gap area again. So a dangerous one in that sense. Looking at this in the 4-hour time frame, it's just for people scalping intraday or whatever. So that's probably the basis of why somebody asked me for it. So just to be real quick about this then, bearish divergence on the top side. If we pull back down past that 279 area, we're capitulating in the markets. If we actually manage to push up the way and take out our previous highs in there at 550, then we could aim up towards 969. That's nearly 100% increase in price, but I'd probably be more tempted to take profit closer to $7 on that one myself personally, given that it would be its third thrust of bearish divergence going into a period of that had also taken it into its all-time highs. We also had bearish divergence on the way up to retesting our all-time highs. Well, that's to be expected, actually. Yeah, saving the 236 here, and this one's a pretty decent bet, actually, in terms of the all-time high structure on this one. It's a decent bet, decent enough, easy to manage your risk on it in a sense. You know, if you want to do it and you're just kind of taking risks on this thing, then taking out 220 is probably an area where you could where I'm not a financial advisor. If I was looking at this and I was just kind of like not wanting to manage it so closely and willing to take a big hit on any trades in terms of the percentage that I lost on it moving down the way, I'd probably manage it at 220. But you know, I'm looking to try and think, can we defend this 236? I'm not massively engrossed in the idea of trying to be the guy himself that defends it. Instead, I'd probably rather look for an entry that came thereafter. That's not a higher low. Not a lower low, that's a lower low just there, but that was bullishly divergent, only just, but it was. And the strength of trend isn't quite there to the top side just yet. Yeah, I don't know, 276, I mean, you're already getting a decent discount just by defending the 236, what am I saying, you know, coming down to that 7% area. If we do go down below, it's not as tragic as I initially said about 276 being like super important, but it is. It's kind of like you would know that it is when you went past 220, because at that stage you're going to 177 kind of idea. Maybe not 177, maybe 180 or 190, but you get the idea. Is the percentages are fairly large. And then but then, you know, we could go up towards the top side, and like I say, I'm aiming up towards the towards 990 if we do actually push up the way. It's totally possible. We're in they're knocking on all-time highs, and then so often you do see divergence like that on the run up to it consolidating at the time at the top. It's obviously risk on, risk off environment, you know, in terms of not risk on, risk off environment. Sorry, that's not accurate, funnily enough, thing to say that, but this is obviously an increase in risk up at that zone. And who are IDEX? They are a 1.32 billion market cap company, so something a little bit more than the last pump and dump scheme, as you can see. And what have we got? Cheap stocks to buy right now. So it's always funny when people say that. These two unknown NASDAQ stocks making shareholders richer. Ford, IDEX completes acquisition of US Hybrid. Oh, it got one 18 days ago. It bought US Hybrid. IDEX, or the company, announced it has completed its agreement to require 100% of US Hybrid, privately held company, US Hybrid. So they are an interesting company. So how much did they spend on them? They're about to join they're set to join the Russell 3000 as well. So it's a good turnaround for a company that was looking pretty crap. How did the chart get low here in terms of, did they almost kill it, etc.? 27 cents, currently kicking around a lot higher than that. Previously been at $5 or $6. This was in around about March 2020. Oh, COVID's time kind of did that, and then it's improved ever since. Oh yeah, this looks good. This is a decent one. This is decent. Yeah, decent enough. It's decent enough. Obviously, grand scheme of things, closures below that area, I'd be wanting to just kind of wait until I saw confirmation that it was going up again. If we did come down past any of that zone, would be aiming down towards 82 cents again if it got really, you know, completely messed up. Maybe not 82 cents, probably something a little bit higher. I'm thinking around about that $1 round number area, but at the minute I'm actually aiming up towards $7 and $9.96 on this one, and then indeed we could go even higher. Where would we be going if this thing actually turned into a company that had some real staying power attached to it? Well, $16 would be, you'd be looking up, and then $51.91. Okay, so you could even see this do a 10x. It could happen. Once we get past our all-time highs, it could do a 10x thereafter. The point being that you can wait for that momentum to carry you up. Obviously it's not ideal when you have to live with you know, markets that open and close all the time, etc., as opposed to like in cryptocurrency land where you can just ride, you don't have to worry about that. But you know, there you have it. That's interesting. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one for a few different reasons. Much more interesting than the other one, but the other one's interesting because it's straight up pump and dump. And it's it's stealing people's money from unsuspecting retail investors primarily. So you know that is super interesting for its own reasons. But as you can see, it's performing pretty crappily, and it looks like it's heading down towards that area that we talked about already. So it's doing everything we said. So that's cool. That's pretty good as well. Done that one. Whoop 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 whoop. Daniel, thanks, Rocky. I took profit once I saw Citadel owned a bunch. I assumed a pump and dump. I made or may not mayday or swing trade a little or not if I took $400 off of it. Oh, nice one, man. Cool, great idea, Rocky. I don't know what the great idea was. I take notes, so people take notes as well. You know, people who take notes, if you do take notes, genuinely, if you take notes, you know what the way that it would work is that you think to yourself, well, this is really useful for me, yourself personally, because then you'll be able, you know, how your own personal way of kind of indexing what you're looking at, etc. But if you are looking, yeah, this chart does not look good for people, by the way. If you are looking at things and you take and you say on this episode this happened, this episode that happened, you know, maybe I've already look, the thing is I've already done, when people ask me, have you got a beginner's course out there? I've already done a beginner's course. It's out there, it's in my episodes. It's just it's spread so far apart. And as you'll know from the Discord, I've got that room in the Discord called Rocky's Clips where I ask people to leave timestamps, etc. And there is a kind of latent idea in me that some of the quality of some of the material that I put out there is so extremely high and extremely valuable that, and it's done on a live chart with a live audience at the time, that it has a raw authenticity to it, which is maybe worth having inside a trading course as opposed to trying to recreate all of this, you know. And then people watching are like, yeah, but sure, you can do that on markets in the past. It's like I'm doing it all the time here, raw and live. There is a kind of an aspect of how I don't necessarily go back and follow through, but sometimes I do that on the episodes, and you can see it happen. So if you could somehow categorize whatever you're doing in a way that might be translatable or make your own experience transferable to somebody else, then that's meeting me halfway in terms of the course or whatever, and I could maybe do that. So that's cool. Like, you know, it's an idea. I see you're all chatting in there. Lovely. Love it. Pre-market. Yes. Great. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow, 1 hour before, right? So moving by midday might be the wrong way to put it. Movement, the trend sets in, patterns being confirmed. Yes. If that's with relationship to what was being spoken about earlier on. Let's see. I guess looking in the morning, but not moving on anything in theory until midday or later, so you know where the trend is going. Ah, right. Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. Let me see. I got that. On the other hand, the first hour of the day stresses me out for some reason. Let's just see how this conversation goes. Right. Let me just see. I'm gonna have to read it. There's quite a bit here, and it's worthwhile reading this out, I think, probably. Jeff Smith said earlier on that I should go live after Jamie as a transition. Jamie could end screen his streams videos to your channel, bit better than just shout outs. Maybe could do. We did that before, and there were 600 people watching his, and my subsequent stream never peaked at higher than 250. It's not a big deal, but it didn't necessarily work that time. Again, as with every one of these ideas, right, it's about doing it more than once, just like trading. There's me saying this chart looks like shit, and then it bounces just at that point when I said it to. That's kind of funny. There was the one kind of caveat on that, and that sort of yeah, no, I still think it looks like crap though. Sorry. Let me bring up something else. AMC again. Let's see how it's getting on. Still at that 57 area, right? Let's see how GME is getting on. Still at 209 area, right? So there we have it. That's how those things are getting on right now. This lunchtime, let's hope that whenever they've finished eating their macaroni cheese at their desk, that they get back to trading. I like GME jump to 222 yesterday. Like the GME jump, I sort of tuned out because I knew it would just do a nice fib retrace. Check in the next morning to see what level it retraced to. Okay, so there's different ways of looking at things. If people are wanting to do short-term momentum trading, then of course in the morning you can see that with pre-market, kind of think, oh, how things are getting positioned, etc. Kind of chase something up, and then you know you get the chance to do things like kind of chase these little bits of trends that move at times. there's that kind of strategy, but I'm sure there's like there's lots of complexity to all of it. Rocket Crop, you're doing pre-market tomorrow? I'll believe it when I see it. Lols, happy face. Yeah, I know, way right. It's funny that Jeff might. Yeah, totally. You're right. Believe it when you see it. I agree. I also will believe it when I see it. Peter here, hello brother, making dinner and listening all the same time. They say men can't multitask. Yeah, right. You tuning in there now, Peter's just reminded me that I made a cryptocurrency summary video and I completely forgot about it. So I'll go ahead and upload that to YouTube. So yeah, that was in that video. I did Bitcoin. I did Bitcoin. I did pig iron. Not enough people in the audience now to even have like a 1% chance anybody gets that little song. What am I looking? What was that video called? When I export a file, where does it end up at on my computer? That's a good question. Good question. And I'm gonna get this thing and upload it. I'm gonna do it. Although it kind of at this point it makes me wonder if it should or not. Alright, where the hell is that program that I used for it? Got pig iron. Saves it to where? There. Okay, so that's probably that one. Filmed it like an hour ago. This is called cryptocurrency TA, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic, Cardano, and Tezos. Actually, it was the other way around. So Tezos and Cardano. I'm not even going to bother with the attempts at funny joke title clickbait things or anything like that. There's no point. It doesn't work or whatever. So the technical analysis for Bitcoin, looking at 12-hour RSI, Fib golden pockets, and more than speed running through ETHUSD, MATICUSD, and I'll be back in the chat in just a second. Tezos, XTZUSD, ADAUSD. Right. And then I'll just take away all this other crud down below. Got a sponsorship deal that I'm working on, by the way, with people at the minute. It's a company, it's a brokerage, a broker who wants to sponsor, who's up for sponsoring the channel because he's actually a decent guy that's watched the show a couple of times. Not only that, by the way, shout out to Ronaldo Moreno. He actually likes Ronaldo Moreno's music and thought the whole thing that we're doing here is pretty excellent. So he's considering becoming a sponsor for the channel, which is pretty cool. I say he, but it's the company are, and that's cool. Also in negotiations with NordVPN at the minute because they want to sponsor me, and I'm telling them what they have to pay to sponsor me. It's the same amount as the other guy, as it happens. But it's NordVPN, so it's not exactly talking to them like they're very, like there's going to be a personal relationship there. And then what the heck is that picture? I'll just use that old random picture I've got for it. I'll do. And also in negotiations with Huobi. Well, I kind of stopped looking into, or stopped negotiating with Huobi for that sponsorship. Should really kind of bring it, get back on that as well, because it's the same amount with them as well. Just telling them all the same amount. And then if we do agree to something, I will share it in the community, in the Discord, and get your approval on it before going forwards. Essentially what it is a brokerage which has got is a brokerage, right? So if you've got any particular concerns about me being sponsored by a brokerage, and to say like a 30-second or 20-second segment saying this, I'm sponsored by this brokerage, and show their logo up on screen or whatever, then be sure to let me know, because I'm doing it with public consultation and talking to you all. And if at the end of the, if it, you know, and if I go with it and then people complain at me afterwards because they think I've somehow impinged on my integrity, well, obviously I haven't, because, you know, because here I am right now talking about this live. Right, I've uploaded that video and I can go back to the chit chat. So that's cool, isn't it? Right, yeah, sweet. So settings, output. This will show the file path. Yeah, cheers, man. I got there in the end. I do make timestamp notes for myself and watching sometimes. Would it be good to throw favorites into the Discord clips chat, or is that videos, comments, or both? Man, if you can put them anywhere, be appreciated. Video comments below the videos so that other people watching along get to see something of value would be so helpful for them, because they see a 2-hour long live stream and they think, I'm not watching that, you know, and you might have some gold dust for them. So yeah, but then if you put it in the Discord too, in the Rocky's Clips channel, the room, the Discord, they call it a channel. It's so annoying they use that word. If you put it in the Discord, there's a channel called Rocky's Clips, and that would be really, really great. Now, there's not a channel on YouTube called Rocky's Clips, but if there was enough of them great, you know, together to do that, then maybe I would make a channel called Rocky's Clips, because, well, I'm shadow banned. So anyway, yeah, massively appreciate it everywhere. The more the better, and at the very least it'd be great in the Discord, because then it would be at least kept, you know, for posterity, we'd have it there. That's awesome. All good things, says Epiphany Jones. Yes, all good things. Matt Boosted says, sup Rocky, sup Matt. Good to see ya. Right, so yeah, where are we now? 2 hours into this stream, right? That's cool. Kind of figured that I'd make it a 2-hour stream, and that's cool. So we're good. I think I could probably go ahead and start to kind of think about moving towards a denouement for the show and let the afternoon session take care of itself. We have got we've got a good idea of the markets at the minute. You know, we know the pivot points in GameStop in at around about $209 at the minute, right? And so 210 essentially is representing that best buy price. Can it get up towards 222? It can. It's positioned to do that, but if it drops down past that area, then maybe we're looking down to $200, okay? And that would be a better buy price, probably. So, you know, that is that's where we are with that one, okay? So looking fairly good. Now, what does it mean to say you're looking fairly good? Well, we've not pushed down past that price. We dropped down with the markets open today. We dropped down to this you know, not the low that we put in the first hour of trading today was in here at the 208 price point, and we've not broken down below that since. Yes, we've not taken any of our highs, but we've done okay, and it leaves us for a decent enough setup. The broader term time frame story is still more or less pristine in place overall. So this is a low, that was a high, this was a higher low. This so far ain't nothing quite yet, but there's that pivot there. So we could be seeing that if it drops down a way that we could find ourselves having to consolidate. If we actually just get the afternoon session to kick in for us, then this ends up looking like just a little bit of flux along the way, which is neat. Then over on AMC, well, actually, there's other things I could talk about as well. Right now, we're going through a period of volatility, or of extreme lack of strength of trend, I should say, sorry, which can then lead into a period of volatility where we may even see the prices revisit where they left off from. So be aware of that at the moment, that this turning around effect that we're having doesn't necessarily result in it just going pew, blasting off towards the top side. We see the prices came down and they struggled they struggled to continue the downward trend while putting in lower lows. Then we came around here and maybe we'll struggle to continue the upward trend. And then go up towards the top side. All of that can absolutely happen, you know. And then in the grand scheme of things, if this is your cup and this is your handle or something like that, then you know it's just a degree of patience on that front. But saying the degree of patience on that front is a completely misrepresents this phase in the market, because this is a shakeout phase in the market that's deliberately happening here to shake people out. So it's not patience that you need; it's some other word which is somewhat stronger than patience. Right then, in terms of AMC, what we're also looking at is as a pivot in the market. You know, have we got one here for us to be aware of at $57 and something, or rather in that area? Lower term time frames and kind of making use of that VWAP and showing us that we're tracing along outside of it is an important facet to be aware of, because of course that is going to show you your first stage towards ending the downward momentum is taking back out that area. Where does it line up with right now? Well, lo and behold, it's coming in at around about 57.77. Not much of a surprise to me on that front, to be perfectly frank with you. There's a diminishing strength of momentum towards the downside. The markets are in chop; they don't have a strength of trend with them. And if we do take out the neutral line at the same time on the RSI is taking out any of these targets towards the upper side, this is a 5-minute time frame here, then we are looking for a very strong end on the day. I'm happy with 59 buckaroonies in terms of the end of the day. I am. I'm happy enough with 59 buckaroonies at the end of the day if we can actually achieve something like that. 57 is also fine by me. But what I mean by that is that I'm also happy to not see the prices push beyond 60 right now, in the sense that we have just in terms of allowing this process to really kind of shake itself out. There's another aspect towards shakeouts that are maybe worth mentioning. This is a 12-hour time frame. I'll put it on the 24 hours, since at least that has some sort of context to it. Or makes sense. But there's a process that happens with kind of shakeouts, and we talked about them. So you've got shakeouts that's happening on GME, because you see things, you see the prices failing to move towards the top side, and it's a period of stress and yada yada, and it lasts a while. There's all that sort of thing. There's the shakeout from, in terms of with a cup with handle, and then the prices start to drop down the way that as well. There's the shakeout that happens in here for shorts who have shorted it from this point down the way, because of course they're looking for that continued momentum for it to not actually be a cup with handle at all. And it's when that prices start to take out their own trailing stops and whatever else, then you get that added liquidity, or that added demand actually towards the top side, and it pushes up. Now there's another type of kind of shaking outs, and that happens sideways. And one of the components of sideways movements is, of course, that people may have bought here an option contract, or here an option contract, or here an option contract, or here an option contract that has an expiry here, or whatever. And then with a general lack of volatility, in the sense that the prices have stayed more or less within the range of their previous areas. So I take a trend line out here and I just draw it right through, and you can see that overall that there's this kind of more or less stability in the prices at this point. It means that there's a lot of components here which of course can be causing people to have kind of crappy options scenarios at the minute, where they're neither winning nor losing, but they're stressed out the entire time. And that's a different type of shakeout, right? Something to be worth bearing in mind as it's happening in a period of consolidation, which is clearly as well at the top of all-time highs, with an ascending triangle in there at the top end of this market. So if we do push on the way, then that's continuation, and it's great, and this is just what needed to happen. It gives us the rocket fuel to keep going up. And if we don't, then we don't. But we know what our small-term targets are in the meantime, and we've got an idea of the pivot where we could see prices dropping down. And the regions that it goes to, of course, are the low 50s to begin with, but then we're looking towards 44. If the prices are able to drop down the way and close above 44, then to bring back on that ascending triangle, it just really gives you a more substantial set of touches towards the lower end. What we have here, if I zoom on in and let you see it a bit clearer, because I apologize, I keep forgetting that my screen being so much bigger than your screen, la-di-da. Anyway, what we have here, of course, are a few touches. We have the inception point touches here, not quite there, but here. But if we did drop down towards something else, then what it would kind of look like in the end would be like one touch, and then two touch, and then maybe, and then and this here as well has that shakeout to the side function, the time function, a sideways price action for a bit longer. So we'll look at this as it is here just now. For now, you know, we'll look at this here for now, and instead what we'll do is we'll call that territory of this symmetrical triangle, or this ascending triangle, fake out territory. And that's what I do quite often, by the way, on the show, is one of the sort of lessons I like to give. Here's an ascending triangle, a lot of good reasons to say that it's real. If the prices were to drop down here, it could do so whilst still ultimately really just looking like actually it's an ascending triangle still, you know, or indeed it could push down towards this and beyond, and close its bodies within it again, having wicks outside. Fake out territory, therefore, is in at that zone just there, and that makes a good deal of sense because of the market structure areas in terms of where you might be looking to try and manage your risk at in terms of your bodies closing. This is when in these situations it's always worth just kind of bearing in mind the top side, which is flat, is going to stay flat along the course here, and therefore it's the important one to look to. And if you just do the whole inverse chart thing and flip it over, and you're just like, we're waiting to see if we can smash down past this point again. Could we do it? Yes, we could. That's the next sort of stage on this, but whether it happens with, you know, a nice compliance with that pattern, or it needs to experience a fake out move like this before it goes up, that remains to be seen. And if we actually do then take out these territories, you know, of the 44s, and we're closing down below that area, well then yes, we could be looking at subsequent 30% drops in price, etc. And that's something to be bearing in mind in the here and now. Right, if I catch up with chat here, then I can see if everybody's happy. We'll look at all those rockets for Rocky. What's going on, Jimmy? You having a break at the minute? I'm about to kind of wrap up my stream as it happens. Screen record software maybe do the business, Jeff. I have tried it the odd time and it's worked. Others seems to blur. Oh, interesting. This has been one of my favorite streams. You're on it today, Rocky. Rocket, cat, Rocky, outcrop face, rocket. Thanks, Apple Blossom. That's awesome. That's so awesome. It's a shame that more people didn't get to see it. Got 128 concurrent viewers right now. That's right at the very peak that we've had. That'll be because Jamie's taking a break partly as well. Thanks to everybody that's kind of dropped in here as you know, for that. I really do appreciate everybody here, you know, massively do. We have had a good stream. I hope you enjoy looking at it. I'll try and put chapters in at some point, but I'm not going to rush to do that. If anybody has them to suggest them, that's cool too. Sideways shakeout is the most dangerous. Emotions are higher and patience is low. That's exactly it, Peter here, dropping the wisdom bombs in there. If you are thinking about this, you know, and you were listening to what I was saying there before about the sideways shakeouts and how they happen with regards to you know, the sideways shakeouts there, and Peter was responding to it as well, and you're kind of thinking about that concept a little bit more, then do bear in mind that emotional point that Peter made there is extremely true, that your patience has been going like this towards the downside, and of course your frustration has been going like this towards the top side, and at some point there'll be a point here, and that is kind of how the shakeout in terms of the sideways thing can go for a lot of people, as well as the sort of the time factor function and the sort of the entropy on options. Get those likes in, people. Says, I am not a cat. Meow. Thank you so much. Stefan says, random question. Any reason you don't put your custom indicators in public lady on TradingView? Yeah, I put them on there before and got told that that the were not different enough from other indicators that are already available. So I had them removed. Then I put them on again, and they said they're not different enough from other indicators that are available, which is really annoying because they are. It's just that there's already 10 different versions of similar things that are whatever. So, and they said, and if you do that again, we will ban you. And I was like, oh right, that sucks, because I didn't really mean, I'm not trying to do anything wrong, and asked them about it and they didn't reply to me. So there you have it. I just didn't try it again. My my DMI might be sufficiently different to be able to be allowed on there, but I don't want to, like, you know, 3-strike rule, get 25 years in prison for stealing a slice of pizza. You know what I mean? Your stream is always awesome, Rocky. Thank you. Thank you. That's really amazing. Thanks for the stream. Sorry for the beer talking. Have a great day. No, wait, what? You don't need to apologize for anything. I think they said something earlier on in it, and I agreed with it, I think. ACTO Air Canada before you shake out, asked by Aram. AC, oh, right, sorry. Yeah. What? Before you shake out, AC, how was it? It's got some sort of, is it a full stop in between? What was it? Hold on in between. No, AC, AC. There we have it. So, wrong one. AC, Air Canada. We'll take it. We'll look at it on the New York. Sorry, the Canadian exchange. Hey, guy. How's? I don't know. Hey, bud. How's your airplane, guy? It's great, friend. How's your stock, bud? I don't know, man. That clip in South Park. No, I hid the price and kept the VWAP. Whoa, the worst thing you can do on a 24-hour time frame. High, lower high in here. That pushing up the way. 3 down, up. Okay. Right, drop down there. What happened here on this? That's March, right? Yep. And then up. Come back up as far as that. Only ever made it as high as that. How far up was that back up the way? 618 right there. A couple of points in at it, of course. $43 maybe worth taking a look at with that gap that's on the chart just there. As well, $40 on that. Whoops, sorry. These lows to these highs, 22.93, 40, 32, let's call it 23. Okay. We've got, oops. 14. Yeah. Yep. Probably worth having this on here. And what about this? Right. Okay. Okay, right. Yeah, so here we have AC, Air Canada, Air Conditioning, no, Air Canada, AC. If the prices are able to maintain this upward sloping line, then things, of course, look very good. There is a good degree of weakness in here. When we had these two highs recently, we were actually coming in and testing the golden pocket area against the retrace from the all-time highs down to the coronavirus March lows there. And we tested the golden pocket, the 618 edge. Then we went up and actually filled in the entire golden pocket and pulled back down the way, all the while putting in what could be described as being a sort of wedge formation. Now, this is still continuing on the way for us, and I'm less concerned about that upward side sloping angle as I am about the overall horizontal support and resistance point for us that's coming in here at around about $30 for us. If we can see the prices, and to be accurate, it's going to be more like $29, but if we can see the prices actually busting the $30 zone, then things get very good for this, and I would start to look up towards a target in at around about $40, where we've experienced a gap on the charts in the past. If you actually look in here, you can see that there was this little gap right there. Now, there's another couple of reasons for that comes in just shy of the 886, an area that's typical to see pullbacks from, following on from a massive recovery in prices, or indeed a massive dump, if that is to be that way round. In this case, what we're looking at is for a recovery. But to manage our risk accordingly with any trades that we're looking at with regards to this one at the minute, I'm going to have to pay special attention to the $23 price point, because if we actually push down past $23, we could be headed even as low as $14. So that's something very much to be aware of. We've got a bit of a fake out territory therefore identified on this, if you were to be thinking of this as being any sort of wedge or ascending triangle or any other type of pattern, the key component of which being this upward sloping resistance line, bringing in us that fake out territory in here at that 23 price point. A couple of other extra reasons for that is because that's also actually the 236 Fibonacci retracement, and if we area there at that line kicking that head in of that pivot retracement, then of course we are looking down towards perhaps as low as the $14 area or so. Actually drew that in a little bit wrong there, where we have our previous low here, the last significant low. And if we're to look at this from a broader term time frame, then it does make a lot more sense to say something like that. If we take a look at it, for instance, here on the weekly time frame, where this is really distinct, massive point in the market where after this we really kind of went into a new phase. If we do see a drop down, therefore we are looking for this to find itself able to find support above those zones and go up the way. And I would actually pay keen attention to the 50% retrace area as well, despite the fact that I drew in the 618 golden pocket and kind of reminded people of that if we did move down past 23, because of course in at this sort of 382 at 1968 and 1750, where that 50% is, represents the gap, which is very much visible here still on the weekly time frame as well, which would be where we'd be hoping to see the prices being drawn to if there was a square up need for market makers, etc., in the markets in order to actually kind of satisfy their positions before allowing the normal dynamics to then continue. If that were to be the case, then you're looking at taking out the fake out territory. Areas within the fake out territory do offer up a decent buy at the moment, but we are aware of the weakness that's coming in here at the 618. Currently, I'm a bit concerned with the price point on this one. I do feel like it's quite likely, having come up here and tested the 200 simple moving average a few times, that we actually see the prices dropping down towards that 23 price point. Bearing in mind that there is actually a decent enough move to be had there of over 10%, where you could allow yourself to then wait in terms of like choosing how you would get into a position if you were managing your risk with regards to taking momentum into account with your trading. Now, in terms of the same story though, I'm very much positive when we see the prices taken at the 28-29 zone, like I was saying before, and that is the target for us. If you were trading this just purely off of this setup as it stands, you would be taking a long from this point and looking up towards that area. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, but you can see quite clearly the dynamics between these trades change very rapidly when you look beyond the zones of the this fake out territory. For example, if we were to be taking the move purely up towards our resistance zone, we'd get a solid 5-to-1 risk to reward trade opportunity for us. If we were to take into account that of course it could drop into these zones but then push back up the way with this green line and simply not accommodate a price action for very long within the fake out territory. Nevertheless, if you were to manage your risk with a potential for it to drop down to the fake out territory, what was once a 5-to-1 trade rapidly revolves into a 1.37-to-1, something that's not likely to really sustain you in your trading account across a long breadth of time. Now imagine in a scenario where we did push down and tested this area, you'd be quite likely stopped out at a risk to reward ratio which is less than 1. So that would be negative, and in fact if you are thinking along those lines, you would have to carry that trade all the way up towards the $40 price point to represent a similar risk to reward. Whatever you happen to do on this one, just bear in mind the key pivot point in there at 236, the fake out territory, and of course the movement towards the top side, which could absolutely come in if we see volume kicking in with price action above $30. Thanks so much for tuning in to that little clip there. That was Air Canada, and I'm going to start doing the reverse roll call here and tuning out. I hope that you enjoyed that technical analysis. I didn't actually visit many concepts such as the RSI after initially noticing the bearish divergence on there. Suffice it to say that we've not done a swing failure in the face of bearish divergence and we're above the neutral line. I am overall bullish on this one, and I would like to see not only a $40 price point be achieved on this one, but actually whenever the markets really kick off,